Good, thank you.
We're good, we're recording.
All right, Patrick, whenever you're ready.
All right, so I'll go ahead and call us to order. And
Thank
I
you.
think we're just going to go through a few of the housekeeping things while y'all set up. I don't know if you have anything set up.
Mr. Chairman, welcome again this morning to the committee, and just a reminder today, you're here for presentations from the various responders, and we have a schedule laid out, and they've each been given their appointed times to be here. As the committee had requested, we have 30-minute increments set up for each one of them. That time's available. Doesn't have to all be taken. If someone finishes early and you're ready to roll on, if the other party's here, we can move ahead when you want to. I would remind you that you have a scoring sheet for each vendor. And at the end of all the presentations, we're going to ask that you complete those sheets, and then we're going to go around the table member by member and get your various scores for various companies, and Mr. Wyndham and I will tabulate all that for the committee, and then you will see how those numbers come out, and then if that's acceptable, then we'll ask the committee to adopt a motion to recommend that ranking to the school board. I would remind you that we will be collecting your score sheets. They'll become a part of the procurement record here. They'll be public records, so keep that in mind as you write on those and make margin notes. And if you have any other questions for Vince or I, we want to answer those before we get started.
So I would just suggest as we go through them that you might want to have a pencil and your score sheet out and go through kind of the score sheets as they give their presentations. So at the end, we will be that a little bit ahead, and you can certainly change those as you see fit. I do have a couple extra pencils here if you need them. And then at the discretion of this, if we need to take a break or something, I'll recess this for 5 minutes or something like that. Just let me know if you need to do that. We can decide about lunch. We've talked about that at some point if we need that. And Vince, I know that some of these, can you go through real quick, some of these you're going to give us? So which ones do we need to take care of?
One category I'll be giving you, and that'll be whatever y'all get through with your interviews and presentations.
Right.
Then I gave you a copy of this that you should have.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll be giving you the pricing evaluation worksheet forms.
Okay.
So with your score sheet, you'll fill in the numbers that are on that sheet, and I'll announce them for the record.
And so that is just number 3. You'll give us the number 3s. Okay,
And
so.
we'll do that whenever y'all vote to go to final scoring.
And then they'll let us-
I'll-
And as far as references received, you guys will let us know if they met the
What
reference
I-
requirement.
What I sent you guys are all that were received.
Okay,
That the requests were sent out twice.
Gotcha.
And then what you received from me, weeks back, those are all the references.
And I don't know that I remember all of those, but can you go through those with us at some point too?
Well, I mean, I sent them all to you guys.
Okay.
And I can tell you.
We kind of depended on you for the references, I think, so.
Yeah, I got them back in for you. Sent them to you, but I got them. I think I got them.
Patrick, can you give me a pencil?
And also, Mr. Chairman, when all the presentations are concluded, the committee certainly has the ability to discuss the presentations among yourselves before you finish scoring, if you want to do that, or you can go straight into scoring, whatever the members feel like they need to do.
yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's why the pencil's good, I think, at this point, because if you want to change it, it's a bit easier.
And we can get that back in at the end, right, once everybody's done.
Do I?
And get the reference information after everybody's done
Yeah.
all the presentations.
Yeah, why don't we, Vince, why don't we just do that at the end?
Well, I
Oh, you
actually
got
made
it.
a copy.
Okay,
I
all right.
thought I made a copy.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that, and
Thank you.
we were getting so many emails, I know it. Thank you. So the first presentation is FPMC. I think y'all all have the schedules, so we'll.
How are y'all today?
Good, thank you. All right. Everybody ready? we're ready for your presentation at FBMC.
I can hand click. Yeah, that's fine. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Morning.
Thank you. We appreciate y'all's time today on behalf of FBMC. We'd like to say thank you for the partnership we've had for a couple years and the opportunity to present with y'all today. My name is Keith Sanford. I'm the Regional Account Executive that is overseeing the team that services y'all. I also have Chris Carpenter, who's y'all's account executive. Y'all talked with Chris, met Chris before with some of the BOG meetings. And then today we have Pat Clark with us. Pat is a senior account manager that we have. She would be your day-to-day contact person with us moving forward. So if you don't mind clipping. Real quick on our agenda today, if y'all are able to flip to the next page, there's 3 different things that we wanted to talk with y'all briefly today about. First off is our journey together and our account management, our strategic approach, and then evaluating alternative funding options. So over on page 5, which shows our journey together, I'm not going to read everything, but we tried to highlight some of the things that we've been able to accomplish with y'all over the past few years with our partnership. Over on the left-hand side, on the benefits, education, and communication, one of the things that we're very proud of is our Spark page that we were able to put together for y'all. With that Spark page, it's a web access, and it has information on there for your actives and your retirees to where they can better understand all of the benefits that you have. It also has some videos. We've produced some videos over the years to help your employees better understand how to make educated decisions on what plans are best for them. We've been able to do a bunch of surveys to help us build out and or improve some of the medical plans that we've done over the past 2-3 years with y'all. The other thing that I'm proud of is the self-funding 101 that we were able to do earlier this year. The 3-phase process we were able to introduce self-funding to y'all, walk you through all the differences of how that looks versus what you currently have. Rich was able to join us for all of those presentations. If you look over on the right-hand side, it talks about some of the plan enhancements that we've been able to do and some of the ways that we've been able to save costs not only for the district, but also for the employees. One of the biggest ones right off the top is how we were able to work with y'all and negotiate with UHC. There was the outstanding amount when we came on board here, a little bit over $3 million several years ago. We were proud to work with your team and also UHC to work on that to get it down to eventually it was down to 0 owed. So we felt that was a big accomplishment. It wasn't easy. It took a lot from both parties, but we were able to get that taken care of. Another thing that we were able to do is implement the 4-tier medical rate plans that was able to help your employees and then also implement a new copay plan. So at a high level, those are just some of the things that we've been able to do together through the partnership over the past few years. Chris, if you could slide to the next one. I'm moving over to page 6 now, which is talking about our strategic approach. One of the gaps that we've had over the past few years on our side is having an account manager that would stay for a extended period of time with y'all. We've had a couple people get promoted within the company, move to other positions. We've had a few that have left the company. We were proud to bring Pat with us today. Pat has over 20 years of customer service and account management experience, and she has almost 10 years of experience working with school board districts throughout the state. So she's very seasoned in what y'all do. She understands the school district. She understands it from the BOG side. She understands it from unions and budgetary processes with her experience of doing this for 10 years. So we're pleased to announce that Pat would be your seasoned account manager moving forward with y'all. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Pat to let her kind of talk about her approach to her account management style. Thank you.
Good morning. First, let me take this off so I don't hyperventilate. I'm happy to be here today. I am a senior account manager with FBMC, and like Keith was saying, I have 20-plus years experience in project management and customer service, as well as 9 years experience working with the school districts. As the account manager, I'm the day-to-day contact for each of my clients. Not only am I in constant contact with my clients, but I also set up quarterly reviews. These quarterly reviews help me as the account manager to gauge my clients' level of satisfaction from a service and performance perspective, but also to identify any pain points or issues that need to be addressed. And for me, it's truly about a partnership with each of my clients. I know we have very limited time, and so I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have after the presentation. But for now, I'll pass it over to Chris.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So, in addition to a focus on the vendor's ability to provide comprehensive and effective client service for the district, the proposal also placed an emphasis on the ability of any prospective brokers or consultants to assist in the management of insurance. That is, the preparation of claims activity reports, funding for financial analyses, an annual review of plan design performance, and the ability to conduct alternative funding analyses. Now, it's important to remember that in all medical plan benefit programs, be they fully insured or alternative funding, that there are three primary cost components. And as you can see on the evaluating alternative funding options slide, you have a pie there representing those costs. You have your claims reserve. That's typically driven by a group's actual claim history, in addition to 25% additional risk being placed on top of that to create your maximum claims liability. Together, those two items represent approximately 75% of that total cost pie. And for Okaloosa, that's approximately $29 million of the total $39 million in projected premium costs for 2021. Then you have stop loss or reinsurance, creating additional 15% of that pie, with administrative costs and consulting fees accounting for the remaining 10%. All plans, also have, regardless of their funding mechanisms, they have the same subcontracting vendors providing specific service roles when the running of those plans. You have a claims processor, that's your carrier or your third-party administrator, a pharmacy benefits manager, stop-loss underwriter, a network vendor, case management for pre-authorization services, and so on. So some of the aspects that do alter for a alternative funding plan, one, the employers and brokers have proactive ability to see and manage claims costs. And data transparency is key here. But the ownership of that data can differ between which funding method you have. On alternative funding plans, it can be owned by either the carrier through an administrative services only contract, or the employer if they select an independent TPA. Excuse me. So on fully insured plans, however, all that data is owned and controlled by the carrier. Two, you have the selection of your partners for those administrative services that make up 10%. They're the ones that carry out specific roles, again, in running of those plans. That's your TPA and PBM and so on and so forth. And like your data ownership, the vendor ownership can vary between either the carrier or the employer, depending on the model. Under fully insured plans, the carriers have all the vendor contracts, which means those vendors work for the carrier, not the employer group. Three, you have your savings ownership. And kind of sticking with the theme here, this year-end savings can be owned again by either a carrier or they can be owned by the employer group. So under a fully insured plan, if a group has a good claims year, the carrier is not going to refund you any of those premiums that you pay throughout the plan year. But on the most alternative funding plans, if the employer controls the data and the vendor contracts, the potential savings range between 10 and 20%. Now you have some examples of the most common savings within the first year of moving to an alternative funding plan. That includes an employer's ability to retain pharmaceutical rebates, and that's important, and rather than a carrier keeping those, all or some of those rebates, because there's an industry average of rebate savings in any given year between 20 and 35% of the RX annual spend. You also have the ability to proactively review and correct large inpatient costs. That's your hospital bills. That's important because on average within the industry, medical bills that total $20,000 or more can have an error rate between 8 and 12%. So on a $20,000 bill, for example, you can have $2,000 in charges that simply shouldn't be there. Finally, you have your healthcare supply chain management. That's helping your employees find the right provider at the right care and the right price. And you know, this you do this by incentivizing care to what we like to call high outcome, low cost providers. That's important because there can be a regional average differential of more than 300% for the same procedures being done by different providers even within the same network. It's a huge cost variance out there. But employees simply don't have access to the necessary information in order to identify those high outcome, low cost facilities. Case managers do, one of the vendors that you would have under an alternative funded plan. But ultimately, the potential impact for Okaloosa County School District moving to an alternative funding plan would be a targeted annual savings, as noted on the slide there, on your projected annual spend between 5 and 15%. So with a projected claim spend at $29 million, you're looking at anywhere between $1.4 million and $4.3 million in savings.
So thank you for your time. I know we had a short period of time to present to y'all, so I appreciate that. What I'd like to do is just say thank you very much. We did include the link on here for the Spark page if you haven't had a chance to look at it. It's also in your presentation documents that we gave you. I'd highly encourage y'all to go out and take a look at it. It's a very user-friendly, we're proud of it, and it's a great website that's out there to educate and assist. So at that time, I'd like to say thank you for our time to meet with y'all and present, and I'd like to open up if y'all have any questions for us or anybody on the team. Thank you.
Committee? To answer questions? Is the, Jeff, is the scope limited here to just their presentation, or can we ask
I
questions?
think you can
outside
ask
of that?
about anything they've submitted to you, anything they've presented, any of the materials they have, if you have questions about it.
All right, seeing no questions, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks for your
Thank you.
time. See y'all.
Mr. Chairman, for purposes of our record, you may want to recess the meeting in between presentations, so if you need to take a break or they're setting up, you know, you can recess the meeting. We'll go back into session when the next presenter's ready.
All right. Is it appropriate to discuss any issues between the committee between presenters?
As long as we're still in the open meeting, you can discuss whatever you need to.
I would just say that I felt like there was a tremendous elephant in the room, and they did not address it, and it's very frustrating.
So I appreciated the question that you asked the attorney, because I was having the same thing. You know, if our conversations are limited to what's been presented to us or provided to us, that doesn't give us the opportunity to talk about
Previous
the reason we're here to
issues.
begin with. And so that's why I didn't want to step out of line. Without the question that there was a question that I wanted to ask, but to your point, I didn't know if this was the right forum.
Well, he did open the door, though, in his presentation when he said they had some problems with, so that would have opened the door for you to ask something you need. That's why I was saying anything they presented.
Well, I didn't know, I thought you meant just what was, you know, turned in as far as what they turned in to us in their proposal. So, because that was my same thing, you know, how would we address the problems that we have had? And I think they,
He did say that they
Alluded.
haven't been able to, I'm sorry.
yeah, but alluded to that with this
Mhm.
new
Mhm.
account manager. They haven't had consistency over our
Exactly,
accounts.
that's what I was thinking.
But I was also a little curious about the heavy focus on the alternative
Mhm.
funding. I
Which
felt,
we tried to get them to
Mhm.
present to us, and we never could get them to react to us.
well, and we got the presentations, but it was, I mean,
Because that's when I came in, when they were doing those presentations, and it just really, it wasn't a good presentation. It was hard to understand. There was nothing in writing. It was just him talking about, and they were saying that they were really proud of that presentation they did.
Well, the
And that was
overall-
very difficult to even understand what was going on.
and again, I think to Dr. Hale's point about not feeling exactly sure what we can ask, was, given all the issues that we had, how could we then even look at this type of alternative option when our broker isn't giving us what we need under a self-funded option? So,
And
that's
one
kind
thing
of a-
that they pointed out was how they did the 4 tiers and that saved employees money. Well, I don't know how, did it really help us much? I mean, most of it, that's family is true family,
Mhm.
and that went up a lot. I mean, a lot of our families have not been able to
Well,
afford
we
that
did have a lot of,
medical
we did have quite a
insurance.
few that switched to employee and child only or employee and spouse.
That was where the
which was
savings
helpful
went.
for those employees.
But he even said that a planned performance review was critical, and I have
And we
been
don't get
begging
that.
them for that.
Mhm.
For 2 years, I've begged them for that, because I said, we have no idea the changes we've made,
That's right.
What they've
whether
done.
they're functioning or not.
I don't
Sure.
think they're supposed to come in yet, are they?
Yes, it's an open meeting,
I mean, they can come in?
Just
Okay,
a-
I didn't know if the next group could come in like that.
Yeah, just out of courtesy, they usually stand
Got
outside
it.
until.
But they're not prohibited.
But I don't have,
Understood.
yeah, I can't permit them, I mean, forbid them, but.
Yeah, I mean, the number, when I
Lisa.
look at the numbers of family versus the number of employee spouse, employee child, I mean, those are like this, and the family is so much larger, and all those people are ones that are paying more a lot. So I don't know if it
But if you're
really-
insuring a higher number of people,
It
it
wasn't
makes
that much
sense.
higher.
No, I mean, if you're insuring
Oh.
a spouse
Oh, yeah.
and several children versus
Yes.
just a spouse or
And
just your
it is
children,
probably more
the
a fair cost.
Right.
It just, none of it's
And
good,
still the
is it?
majority of them are the single plan, so.
Mhm.
Lisa.
What's she saying?
And Russ,
Russ wants to
Russ,
tell
you didn't
us
want to say
something.
that yourself?
Well, I mean, there was definitely some,
misrepresentations on the billing part.
you know,
They did not negotiate that.
and I noticed,
He did.
Oh, we knew that.
Yeah, we knew that.
Okay. I just
We knew
wanna
that.
make sure you knew that was not the truth.
Well, so I don't want to hold up the conversation, and I don't want to hold up the thing, but my, if I am the current carrier and I'm going through this process, I'm not going to underwhelm the committee.
Right.
That's my take on this.
And the new bill, how long is she gonna last? We've had, how many?
Well, I think we've all got information enough to do the scoring on this group.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
will
one-
recess this.
One thing let me
Yeah.
ask, as part of our procedure here today, we need to formally ask the committee, because we functioned as an open meeting thus far this morning, but I do want the committee to understand, you have a right to close the presentations, but typically, selection committees just choose to have the whole meeting open to the public, so we don't have to create separate records of closing and opening. So for the record, could we get the committee to confirm that you're choosing today to have the entire meeting open to the public, so that'll be in your record?
Absolutely.
I would move to have the entire day as an open meeting. I'll move
second.
that.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please indicate by aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion passes.
And we'll note for the record that in the first presentation, the meeting room was available and open to the public. No one was
Absolutely.
prohibited from entering the room.
All right. I will recess us for 5 minutes, 10 minutes until they're set up. 10:05. All right. Thank y'all for being here today. You're up.
Good to go?
Good to go.
Good morning. Still morning. Thank you so much for your time today. We're going to go through this very quickly. As you know, we only have a few minutes. So as we fly through it, we'll be hitting the main points, and then we have some additional references at the end should you have any questions, and we're happy to elaborate on anything. My name is Luke Volkers, Executive Vice President with Century Insurance. To my right is Mike Caraway, Vice President, Lead Benefits Consultant for our team here locally in Destin. So on the screen, which I believe behind you, to hit the highlights. Oh, you guys have done it great. 4 main things we're going to hit, spending time in this first part of the presentation on the first 3. Introduction, introducing our team, many of which could not obviously be here. Experience and qualifications, as well as scope for services, and then the additional benefit material that we can go through towards the end during the Q&A, should you choose to reference it. So, starting with the introduction, a little bit about our company as a whole nationally. We are part of Foundation Risk Partners, which is a full-service brokerage and consulting firm with a comprehensive portfolio of insurance solutions. So we specialize both in risk management, i.e. property casualty, as well as human capital management, i.e. employee benefits and HR. We're a national organization. We're privately held. We actually, even though the RFP, when we responded, had 1,500 plus insurance professionals, we're closer to 2,000 now, a little over 1,700. We've got about a little over $2 billion in premium under management. We actually have over 500 self-funded clients that we work with nationally. We serve clients in all 50 states. We actually have 131 locations across the United States. 43 are located in Florida. So I don't tell you that just to boast our presence nationally. I say that because our size and scope nationally, we're able to bring that down to the local level with our 43 locations in Florida. So that is why a Century Public Risk was created as a specialty risk division primarily focused on serving municipalities and governmental entities. We have, that's our single purpose. We're dedicated to reducing program costs, mitigating risk, and functioning essentially as an extension of your staff here locally within the county. We have 70 plus team members right here in the county. All in all, between personal lines, life, homeowners, auto, commercial lines, business insurance, etc., as well as health, both individual and employee benefits, we serve over 8,000 members within the county. So many of which your employees here more than likely have their insurance through us already and trust us to serve them from that standpoint. We're highly committed to giving back to our local community. We have a local charity that we donate millions to the county and to the local cities. We have 3 offices: Destin, Niceville, and Crestview, to help service the school district. This is just a quick map to show you from a local standpoint how close we are in proximity to your main offices or annex buildings. Again, as a reminder, 70 plus employees, just to showcase the fact that we can, our employees and your service team, relate to not only you as the board, but also the employees themselves with seeking services for healthcare, as well as physicians, facilities, understanding the nuances of the networks within the Panhandle and more specifically Okaloosa, because we live, work, and seek healthcare here ourselves. Many of our kids, our children as well, go to school within the county. So experience and qualifications. Up on the screen, you've got a roster of our primary service team that would be serving and or providing counsel to the school board, school district. However, this doesn't, of course, encapsulate our entire team. We've got the strength and leadership and experience with Alan Flores. He's our executive advisor. He has 12 plus years of experience in specifically municipality and insurance. We've got David Lodwick, 30 plus years with public entity services. He served as a city mayor, as well as has put together several consortiums, including helped develop the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust within the state of Florida. You have myself, Executive Vice President, as the backup lead consultant, living right here locally in Dustin, alongside Mike Caraway, who is our Vice President and the lead consultant with 25+ years, which many of you already know. Alex Doberstein is essentially our client's compliance and resource operations manager. He has a degree in benefits and leads our compliance team. Robin Riley is our account executive. She is the primary contact for HR, and she has 23+ years of experience specifically in public sector. Allison Rand, as well as Kathy, who is here locally and sitting here today, serve as support to her in managing the day-to-day account management of your municipality. Amber Bear is our marketing leader, so her primary focus is to assess the different markets, all the different carriers, making sure we're sourcing the best rates and most comprehensive package to serve you, the school district. We've got Taylor, who's sitting here as well in the room. He's our Director of Implementation and Enrollment. Again, his specialty is focusing on when we decide on the parameters of the enrollment, making sure all those objectives are met, working either in conjunction with your current benefits enrollment system and that team, and your team as well, the board, as well as if you choose to use a different benefits administration system. Him and his team are very well versed as it relates to technology, both with integrations with carriers as well as payroll platforms, etc. Ben Wallou is our SHRM certified professional. He connects the dots as it relates to HR and employee benefits, working alongside your HR team, as well as our HR resources that we have as a direct conduit to help you manage those HR and compliance issues, as well as making sure the enrollment platform itself meets all the HR requirements. The next list is just a partial list of our national brands under our Foundation Risk Partners family. We don't show this slide just to boast. Again, it's to show you that these large national, some international companies trust our organization to serve them and their employees as it relates to employee benefits. The huge benefit to the school district is that we're able to bring that down to the local level right here in your backyard, because our headquarters for Centria is in Destin. This is just a partial list of our self-funded national public entity clients, showing you the wide range of expertise that we're able to draw on across the country, and again, down to the local level, anything from a 50-life municipality all the way up to a 30,000+ hospital system. Oh, excuse me, I missed that one. These are specific to Florida, our Florida public entity clients that we serve today, well over 30 public entity clients within the state of Florida, between cities, governments, city governments, school districts, and specialty districts. As far as carrier representation and status, we are at the highest level with all the carriers available. There's not a carrier that we're not contracted with or unable to contract with. And with our highest level from a volume standpoint, it allows us to have direct line of sight to the leadership that we need to make sure we're able to negotiate the best rates, again, most comprehensive package, as well as when we're in a situation such as a claim or billing concern, we're able to bring in the right people to pull those levers and formulate a solution.
Is that a real thing? I understand kind of from a clout aspect, but it's really a real thing where they say you've got this level of service from us
Yeah, absolutely. So as you reach different tiers with the carriers, they give you direct service advocates to work with that are direct to corporate or have what we call first call resolution. They have the authority to make changes within the system. When you're still growing as an agency, you're put with the first tier service level where they oftentimes have to bring in management for certain exceptions. It's a great question. I'm going to turn it over to Mike Caraway so he can talk about our scope of services and continue on with the presentation.
Thank you, Lou. All right, good morning, everyone. Again, it's an honor and privilege to be here today representing Centria, meeting with the Benefits Oversight Group and Risk Management Team. What I want to walk through are the processes that we go through to help you navigate your employee benefits program and everything that entails making a right, educated, and informed decision as you choose your carrier partners moving into 2022. So it's a seamless process. In 2 to 3 weeks, we receive all the requested data from the respective carriers. From that point, our evaluation process begins. We're going to meet with risk management, we're going to meet with the benefits oversight group, and we're going to determine what your goals are, what your likes and your dislikes are. We think that's extremely important to have your input, to be able to allow us to have the intelligence to go out to our partners to bring you back those solutions. We're going to do a policy, and we're going to do a contract review. Make sure that your policy and contracts that are in place are going to satisfy the needs of not only the school district, but the employees and their dependents. We're going to do a 3-year claim review, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment, to give us the history on your plan, how you're performing. Are you in the right vehicle as far as funding is concerned? That's a big part of the process. Analyze the factors in utilization reports, determine what your cost drivers are. Are we seeing too much, drilling down on emergency room? We got, too many folks using the emergency room when they shouldn't be, and try to redirect them maybe into an urgent care facility, telemedicine. That overall helps bring the cost down. Our analysis includes plan utilization review, which kind of hits on what I just mentioned. Cost projection, funding analysis, including recommended funding methodology. Right now, as we all know, you're fully insured. If we move to a self-funded platform, that second bullet, all those things are going to come into play. Benchmark plan cost against other municipalities similar to your size. And we have a slide on here that's going to talk to that kind of fits you right in the middle of where these two groups were and where they are today within our region. Again, I'm going to hit on the local service team. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more, just not on our office locations, because you're aware of that now. We're in Destin, we're in Niceville, we're in Okaloosa. You guys are a large county, like most of the counties in Northwest Florida. We have a big North End and South End presence. So on-site benefit consultations and assistance is important. So we can have it. We have the ability to have your employees come into our office, or we can go to them in a very, very prompt response time and sit down with them and give them the privacy and make sure that it's HIPAA compliant across the board when we sit down and talk with these individuals, maybe regarding a specific claim or how their benefits work. We think that's critical to their success and making sure the plan's performing the way you want it to. And our local presence and knowledge helps our teams better comprehend the situation of the claim. What I mean by that is we are very involved in this community, not just from a charitable piece, our kids go to school here, but also with the medical community. We know who the CEOs of the hospitals are. We know the labs, the locations, the large medical groups. We go and we'll bring carrier partners up there. We will talk to them, make sure that that they have the network capacity to support groups like yourself. As you guys are familiar with, when you went with your incumbent health carrier today, you had one lab provider. Now you have both lab providers. Those are things that we can bring to the table to help negotiate with that carrier to support large organizations like yourself. We think that's critical. So again, we work in Okaloosa. We understand the facilities, providers, and networks associated with this area. Cost containment strategies. Right now, not that your plan is in a spiral that's not doing good, but you're kind of on the outside. You've got your standard plan designs, standard networks. You got cost containment features in place. Your funding is fully funded. So what we want to do is try to get you closer to that bullseye. Not necessarily as aggressive as what that bullseye says, but we're going to talk to you about tiered networks. We're going to talk to you about carved out PBMs. We're going to talk to you about fully funded versus partially self-funded. Those are all critical and important facets of your health plan to control long-term costs. So getting you to the bullseye or closer to it will be our goal. Alternate funding options. We use a tool. We just don't go, hey, you guys are 2,700 lives, 3,000 lives. We think you should be self-funded without any information to back up our theory, right? So what we use is a Claros analytics tool. This tool utilizes real-time historical data to help you with your funding decisions. So what this does, it's going to tell us whether or not you should stay fully insured or move to a self-funded platform, okay? It's also going to tell us what your risk tolerance is based on your plan design, based on your funding, based on your contributions. All those are key components. We're going to test multiple stop-loss options to make sure that we're putting you with the optimal stop-loss deductible. And then we're going to evaluate your risk, the Benefits Oversight Group risk tolerance, the risk management, and of course the school board and their members. What are you guys comfortable with? And then we're going to tell you what the likelihood is of you beating your fully insured number. So you're going to make an educated and informed decision if we make that recommendation to you. Okay, quick, a couple of examples. My previous employer, I handled 2 large school districts in Northwest Florida. One was 2,700 lives. They were previously fully insured. We did a 3-year claims average. They averaged around 78%, which, by the way, is about where you guys are today. Implemented an ASO partially self-funded plan in 2016. As of last time I spoke with their CFO at this school district, they had $7 million in reserves. Okay, so that helps you long-term evaluate your plans, improve your plans, change contributions. It gives you a lot of flexibility and latitude on your future. They also have an on-site health clinic, which also helps redirect their cost off their claims fund. Example 2.
Before you get
Yeah.
into example 2, let me ask the committee if
Sure.
they've got any questions. We kind of got into our question time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. If we don't, we'll let him go on with his presentation.
But you said that was your previous employer, so
Correct.
that's not with this company?
That's correct. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay.
I'm moved from an employer for 21 years, and I've been with Accenture since April 1st of this year.
Mhm.
That's right.
Anybody else? have
Anybody
questions?
else?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm almost done, I promise. Fully insured client, 2,100 lives. Claims experience was a concern. They were running a little bit high, higher than the 78%. They were running more in the mid-80s. But they wanted to have more transparency, more cost control. Self-funding gives you that. When you're fully insured, you're kind of at the mercy of the carrier. So we implemented a partially self-funded plan in 2015. They are currently have a $6 million reserve balance in their account. So performing very well.
And what do you mean by partial self-funded?
So when you're self-funded, a truly self-funded plan, that means you're taking all the responsibility of your claims. Every claim that comes in high cost, that could be $1 million claim, that would be, that's truly self-funded. Only your super large employers do that. When you hear somebody that's truly self-funded, Amazon, Walmart's, those type size employers. When you're partially self-funded, what we do is we go out and secure reinsurance coverage, very much like your United Healthcare plan that you have today. So we would go out and buy a specific deductible. Let's say we settle on $150,000. So anything that goes over $150,000, the reinsurance carrier would come in and pay that, and that would not go against your claims fund. And then you have what's called aggregate coverage, which is an accumulation of all of your claims. And if your claims exceed that, then your reinsurance company would come in and pay that, anything above it.
Okay.
So that's why we call it partially self-funded. We will never, especially going from fully insured, we would never take a client without having those safety nets in place to protect them. That's a great question. Great question.
Can you just tell us a little bit about what methods, or, I see you have employee portals, things like that. When we have employees that have specific questions about either billing, coverages, where to go, what doctor to see, what comes next, how do you assist them with that?
So our staff that Luke had introduced you to, Robin Riley, Kathy Tondello, and myself, and Allison Rand, those would all be your support staff assigned to your account. So we would work congruently with risk management, and they would have all of our contact information. And of course, right now, I believe that you guys still have an open enrollment with web benefits design that helps with that. That would remain in place, of course. We would support that. But you would also have the local presence of our staff to be able to communicate with employees on a one-on-one basis.
And to add to that, we actually have our own in-house benefits VIP service. So our own call center, should you ever move from web benefits design or prefer to work specifically with our team to handle that. Obviously, we would have to discuss the different costs associated with that, but we have our own internal team that has full access to the Ben admin system that can field those calls directly, and anything over and above what they can handle obviously would overflow to us. But otherwise, as Mike had mentioned, we're happy to be on site as well for presentations during open enrollment and handle one-on-one off questions.
Okay.
Yeah. I do want to add to the question that you had posed earlier about Mike's prior employer. One of the many reasons that Mike joined our team, we're so happy to have him, is he brings that expertise, and that's what we wanted to showcase, those two examples. with the complementary additional tools and resources that we bring to the table, amongst other expertise that we have nationally. We actually own our own self-funded consultancy that helps all our benefits consultants serve their clients. So by doing so, it only further strengthens Mike's ability in that situation. So we have many other examples that we're happy to provide where we've taken somebody from fully insured to self-funded. Some of the additional resources which are inside your packet, and you've got examples of that, our unique approach and differentiators, our support service strategy and execution, the value-added services that we provide at no cost. Again, always being mindful of what you're doing today. Happy to assist with the platform that you're utilizing today and provide counsel on that, or provide our added values as it relates to Ben Admin and HRIS, HR support, as well as just overall compliance. These are just some screenshots of the tools that we provide. But we appreciate your time today, and we appreciate the opportunity to present to you and have the opportunity to serve the county.
Any additional questions?
Well, I will say that your packet was very thorough, and I appreciate some of the examples that y'all gave, because it's things that we've had issues with in the past. So I appreciate your time with us today.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
I know that you say that Mike just joined the team back in April. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So do you guys have, and you have a large staff that's around here, would you say that you have more of a revolving door with your staff, or do you say that you guys have a good retention of your staff?
Right now, the door's only revolving inward.
Okay,
We're
that's
growing.
a good answer.
As I mentioned, we're close to 2,000 employees nationally.
Okay,
We're growing.
thank you.
So.
Yeah. So, yeah, we do, it is a long tenured staff that's on board, and as Luke said, just to reiterate, being where I was for 21 years, to make that change was a huge deal in my career, but I knew that's where I wanted to complete my career and finish it out, because of the resources and tools and team that they have assembled.
Kathy's sitting here today. Kathy, how long have you been in the business?
28 years.
And prior to joining Centra, 25, is that 24?
24.
Before her agency and Kathy, along with her other owners in their agency, joined. A big differentiator about our team is we are very much about the team approach and collaboration. Unlike what you'll find with some of the other national brokerages, it's not separate profit centers. We all collaborate together and we grow as a team together to serve clients no matter where they are by pooling our resources. And that's one of the things that I love about our team. I know that Mike and Kathy, as well as Taylor, why they've left where they were and joined.
Well, one of the challenges I think that we've faced as a BOG over the last several years, and I go back a little bit further than I think everybody on here, but when we had Blue Cross Blue Shield, it was very easy to get information. And we normally had information at our fingertips about how our plan was functioning, about cost, about utilization, and we went to United Health and we started with a broker, and it dried up. I mean, this group right here, I feel like we need the information to make decisions. We implemented, you mentioned the different policy, the plan benefit, not the benefits, the levels where we went, tiers, yeah. Right. We implemented those a couple of years ago, and we still have not been able to get an analysis on how that's functioning, whether it's helping or hurting us.
Right.
And it's just been frustrating over the last few years. How can you help us with stuff like that?
Well, I'll speak to that. And this information on a group of your size is available to you, just so you know. We, working with the school districts that I've worked with and other municipalities in the area, depending on if they had a benefits oversight committee or an insurance committee, we would meet on a monthly basis and review their claims. Now, when you're fully insured, is it as critical as it would be as you're self-funded? I don't think that it is, because fully insured, you're writing a check every month, your claims come in regardless if it's below that number or above. Where it becomes important is meeting on a quarterly basis, and so you can kind of gauge on where you're going to be coming in at your renewal time, right? But if we see that your claims are spiking, we may need to get together sooner if you're fully insured. Where if you're self-funded, you'll see my face every month. We'll sit down, we'll review the claims information, where we're at on our fixed costs, where we're at on our variable costs, which is our claim cost, and things that we may need to consider to implement early on or into the coming year, So we're ahead of the curve. So there's no surprises. And I think that that's extremely important. So our relationships with the carriers, Blue Cross, you mentioned Florida Blue, United Healthcare, which those are the two big players up here, as we all know. We are very, very close to their senior management team. So we're going to be able to get information that we need to help support your group.
So you don't feel that it would be problematic to, you mentioned that that information is available, so
Yes.
Not
any
at all.
data or analysis that we asked for, you don't think there would be any problem in
No, the
getting
person
that?
that ultimately says yes or no, recently had breakfast with him in Tampa, the VP from United, and it's not going to be a problem.
And it seemed like in your presentation here, your written presentation, you kind of understand how we function as a BOG.
Yes, sir.
And how we make recommendations. And you know, if we don't have the information, we want somebody that's out front in recommendations on how to lower our costs. We want somebody, we have been looking at self-funded, but we couldn't get the information we needed, you know, this last year. So we will be going through that.
We wouldn't be able to make a competent recommendation without the information ourselves. So we wouldn't feel comfortable if we knew, if we stood here today and weren't able to commit to being able to get that information. So
Yeah.
we're all about collaborating with you and making sure we make a recommendation on clear data.
The quick point, one of the questions that was asked through the RFP process was someone asked for claims information, if you recall, and it was provided to everyone that submitted a bid. We took that information and we sent it to our partner, our stop-loss partner, XL Benefits, Darren Pitts, and he plugged that information into Claros Analytics. And he was able to surmise that your group certainly should be looking at the self-funded option. And here are the reasons why. You know, your pharmacy spend right now is up, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of companies your size that are fully insured, they're not aware that their current carrier's retaining all the rebates that come along with that. When your claims and your pharmacy claims are spiked the way that they are, that usually means that you've got a lot of specialty claims, pharmacy claims. That's where all the rebates come from.
Millions.
Millions of dollars. All that now comes back to you.
We've essentially done that
So,
analysis.
just the little things like that you're not going to see from, because the carrier's not going to give you that information. Hey, what'd you make of our rebates last year? Fully insured, they're not going to disclose that. Self-funded or partially self-funded, they would. And we would. And
Well,
we
the
would
initiative
always be
you
out of
took
that.
using that information in this presentation, I appreciate it.
So-
Yes, sir.
The
Absolutely.
initiative you took.
Absolutely, thank you. We
And
appreciate
I'd
that.
just like to say one thing if I could. I appreciate the presentation very much. The two things I think that we really, really look for, which is probably evident in the questions that we've asked you today, is first of all, we're looking for responsiveness from our broker.
Yes, sir.
Being local, I think that's a big deal. Your willingness to continue to be responsiveness would be an ongoing big deal. But also, we look for representatives in the marketplace that represent us in an aggressive way. So your responsiveness to us and your representation of us in the market to deal with these carriers, to get this data, to get the stuff that we need, is the expectation that we've had in the past that hasn't been met, which is why we're here today. So I think those are the two themes, if I could just kind of wrap them up, as responsiveness and representation from our
Okay.
brokerage services.
Yes.
Absolutely, and it's mutual because we're headquartered in Okaloosa County, and what better badge of honor to say that we ensure the school district can serve the county in that fashion. So it's mutually critical to us to make sure we represent you at the highest level.
Listen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Think of everything. I agree, yeah.
I'll go ahead and call us back to order. Thank you all. Welcome. You can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and participate in your RFP for benefits consultant. Hopefully you've had a chance to read through our presentation. We spent a lot of time and energy putting that together and a lot of thought. Our team has a lot of experience working with municipalities, but in particular, a lot of school systems, and we put a lot of emphasis. And you'll hear, different firms talking about technology, and we have that. We have HRIS technology and support and enrollment systems and all the rest of it. But our perspective is, if someone, one of your employees, a teacher, it could be a counselor, it could be a bus driver, a cafeteria worker, can't afford their health coverage, having a nice enrollment system is probably not the most important thing to them. So we've literally spent 80% of our resources and services are focused on helping our clients, manage their healthcare spend. We do all of the other things that you've read about in the RFP response, but we feel like there's a real opportunity, for you here with Okaloosa Schools to save money. There's a lot of different point solutions. There's a lot of opportunities now to be able to add new benefits on top of what you already have that would actually favor your employees, give them a higher level of coverage, but also would save the district, money. And we believe that there's a real opportunity for you to save some money. So we've put, again, a lot of our resources and financial services, and understanding what's going on in the marketplace is so important. Whether you're fully insured, whether you're partially self-insured, if that's something that you want to take a feasibility study, we have a team of actuaries that can do that for you, and that's included in our proposal. We feel like there's a lot of opportunity for you to save money, and understanding, I know you're with United Healthcare now that owns Optum. The money that they're making on the pharmacy program alone, between the rebates, the spread, the capitation fees, the out-of-network access fees, all of those kinds of things, there's a lot of things that you're not seeing when they present the renewal. A lot of us came from, in fact, one of our fellow associates came in Atlanta, actually ran United Healthcare for Georgia, the whole state. He was the president up there for quite a few years. So we kind of know, I was former underwriter with the Travelers back in the day, which became part of United Healthcare, kind of knowing kind of what's underneath and being able to use that as part of our negotiating strategy is what's really helping our clients. And with the school systems that we work with, Collier County Public Schools I had for 20 years, worked with Brevard Public Schools. Now they brought us back because their costs started going up after we had brought them down. And we're doing a lot of really, really fun things to help them improve their benefits, but drive down costs. So with that, I'd like to just kind of lead with that. I'd like to turn it over to Stephanie Wainwright. We'll talk about our commitment to service and to helping your team.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you everyone for your time today. I know you guys have an extremely busy and probably repetitive day, so I appreciate your extra attention to us this morning. As Mike mentioned, my name is Stephanie Wainwright. I would be the account executive assigned to the Okaloosa Schools. With that, my job would be, in essence, to make sure we're identifying and meeting your strategic goals. Are you looking to save money? Are we looking to implement a wellness program? Are we having issues with technology? Identify what those are over a 3-year period and implement those, okay? So we're gonna be looking long-term, making sure that we're meeting the goals of the school board. In addition, our job is to make sure that we're taking work off of your plate. We know everybody is stretched very thin. You've seen throughout our RFP that we live service. It's Lockton's motto. We live it, we breathe it. We have a lot of people behind the scenes that would be helping me achieve those goals of removing work off of your plate, whether it be that we have weekly or bi-weekly calls to identify open items and see what we can do to help remove a lot of those tactical items, that maybe you could be focusing other times on. You'll notice on this placemat, we have a whole list of people. I am one person. The bench strength is what is behind me, right? We have our health risk solutions team, our wellness team. We have our compliance team. We have our actuaries to help dig into those financials and making sure that your spend on your medical plan is appropriate. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark. He is one of those bench strengths behind me. He is our ERISA attorney. Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, as Stephanie indicated, I'm a lawyer. I always like to say, try not to hold that against me, please, for the next couple of minutes here. I'm director of the compliance practice within Lockton. Actually, there are 5 other attorneys that work with me. A lot of them have regulatory experience and the like. 2 things I just want to mention here in the 2 minutes that I have to present. One is, obviously, being a lawyer, the open enrollment guide was provided to me to take a look at and whatnot. And there's some things if we work together that I would fix right off the bat. And I won't bore you with our arcane legal detail. I mean, I'm happy to take questions on what I would fix, but part and parcel, one of the things we want to do is get you up and running and in compliance right out of the gate. Now, if you're not in compliance, you have to worry about regulatory actions, participant lawsuits, and also bad tax consequences for the participants under the plan. So again, one of the things we would do, get the skeletons out of the closet, few glitches we saw, get those fixed, and get on with things. On a more pleasant note, the next thing I want to talk about is really a win-win. I mean, there are very few things that I talk about with employers that are a win-win. This could be a win-win for you. A group Medicare Advantage program for your retirees. So you would offer this. I realize that under state law you've got to offer the active plan to the retirees as well, but you can actually go out and contract with insurers that are in the Medicare Advantage market to provide coverage for your retirees, and it's a buyer's market. We can match the plan design that you have under your current plan. We could, I don't know if there are any financial folks here, but we could get that claims experience off your plan and into a Medicare Advantage plan. I don't know if you're booking an accounting liability for your retiree medical under GASB, but we would also mitigate that. So again, it could save money for the county, provide a better benefit to your retirees, and that's one of the things, again, we do right off the bat. So those were my remarks. Yeah.
Just real quick, my name's Tim Simiconis. Mike and I are partners, and this is a team you'll be working with on a day-to-day basis, but we don't often respond to RFPs without a relationship, but there was a number of things that jumped out when we went through our process. We'll look at them all throughout the state, but we really think we can have a very positive impact, and there's things that you're not doing today that you probably should have been doing years ago. So we're excited to make the trip here. We're glad we finally got it scheduled, and looking forward to answering any questions.
Hopefully third time is charm, right? Any
Well, you're here.
I'm here. Well, we found you.
Any questions?
Well, you mentioned some recommendations for us. I mean,
Yeah. Let me look. I actually my cheat sheet here, if I can find. One was, it didn't look like you were offering COBRA for your HRA plan, which would be that's a technical deficiency if you're not doing that. I would also take a look at your mental health design. That it looked like there was the copay for emergency room care looked like it was different on one of the plans. Take a closer look at that. One thing that's not compliance related that I'll mention, orthodontia under your dental plan. Most employers offer orthodontia, and it's not a big cost impact. So again, that's not a compliance thing, but I think it would be a benefit to employees. The other thing, I don't know if you're reimbursing over-the-counter drugs under your reimbursement programs like FSA, but the law was changed to allow for that. So.
Yeah, the big opportunities with the Medicare Advantage plan.
Yeah.
It's millions of dollars.
Yeah. Is your prior broker mentioned that as an option?
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, we've actually done that successfully with a lot of our larger employer groups, and they've reduced their liability tremendously.
Because then you don't have that, like the United Healthcare, you don't have all of those retirees with the high on the United Healthcare plan, so then that reduces that.
Yeah. But it also, ultimately, it was considered a huge benefit to the retirees because the cost, because you provided the cost that you're paying currently as compared to what they could get in the open market with equal to or better coverage at zero. It's the win-win. It's a win for your retirees, and all of us at one point will be a retiree, and it's a win for the district getting that that liability shifted. And there's one of the programs we just put into the Brevard Public School System. And again, some of these will be more relevant if you choose to be partially self-insured, but we're able to put in a program where about 15 different elective surgeries could be free, to your members, your employees, And we were able, right now we're projecting about a $1.5 million savings to the school district in addition to that because of bundled pricing. And we're redirecting those surgeries to the surgeons that are very specific in their area of specialty. That in other words, that they focus only on knees or wrists or whatever the surgery might be, shoulder, and they have to rank in the top quartile, the top 25% of surgeons in that space. And they've negotiated bundled pricing, which is on average about 30 to 35% lower than your discount would be with United Healthcare or Blue Cross or whoever you were ultimately insured with. And so that's a great employee benefit, but it's also saving the district money. So again, there's a lot of win-win opportunities. We're also looking at and getting ready to put in for a couple of our larger school districts and employer groups, not just employer.
Are you talking about fully insured or self-insured?
Some of these, both. Some of these can be put in
because we do have similar programs in United Healthcare to that.
Centers of but
we don't focus on those a lot.
Right. Here's the challenge with the way that they contract, and this is something I'm very knowledgeable about because that's my background. I start off the insurance company side. The way that an insurance company negotiates their network is they do what are called global contracting. So they'll contract with a group of physicians, okay? And on average, that group of physicians in their center of excellence may be better than this group of physicians versus literally contracting down to the very physician themselves, because you could have a good performing group of physicians, but 20% of them could be underperforming. But if you're contracting at the group level as opposed to each individual surgeon or physician, you're not getting the best in class. It's kind of what you might be or you might not be, and your employees are not guaranteed to get that. So these are programs that can be layered on top of Blue Cross, on top of United, on top of Aetna, Cigna. So they're, like I said, it's a complement to, but they can't do what I'm talking about. And the reason they can't do it because the way that they contract. Because they're a lot of times they're looking at it on a bigger scale, whereas we're looking at it focused just on your population and where your people access care. That's important to us.
You guys, this is the group that would service our account?
There's actually going to be 4 or 5 others. If you look at we'll actually even have a medical doctor that will be working with our population health expert. But if you take a look at this is the team. There'll be other people, but the core team are the 12 people you see here. Stephanie is going to be right. She's going to be driving and pulling in these resources, working with us. So you won't have to, you can have a direct access to our actuary or to our, we'll have a pharmacist that will be assigned. So there's so much money being spent on pharmacy right now. You will have a dedicated clinical pharmacist that will be reviewing the formulary that United Healthcare provides and looking for opportunities to renegotiate the terms and conditions of that. You're going to have a medical doctor, Dr. Hale, which you'll see down here at the bottom, that supports Melissa Anchia, which is our population health expert. And she's actually the one that will help put together disease management programs, working together with United Healthcare or other carriers, or potentially bringing in outside programs. Because there are literally, right now, it's kind of exciting in a way. I mean, if we continue to do what we've been doing and expecting a different result, it's not going to work out well, because you're going to continue to see your costs go up. So what we're doing and what we have been doing, like with Clark County Schools, we kept their rate of increase with no plan design changes, at about between 1% and 3% over a 10-year period, which is remarkable. But it's not one thing. It's a lot of different things that we were doing in point programs and along population health, disease management, and other things. So like I said, it's not just one silver bullet. There's a lot of things, a lot of heavy lifting on our end. And we would bring these ideas, to you, vet them, make sure they're going to complement what you already have, but not in any way disrupt anything that you have. But this is your full team right here, and like Sue Cugno's on there. She actually came from the public sector with 3 or 4 large Collier County Government. She also was City of Naples HR Director. So we have people on the team that understand kind of your side of the table, if you will. In fact, Stephanie came from, HR side.
So your closest office to us is where?
Tampa, that's where we're coming out of.
There's 6 offices in the state: Tampa, Jacksonville, and growing.
And what was the percentages that you were citing? I missed that part.
I'm sorry, for
Did you say something about, like when you worked with Brevard and things like that, what kind of increases were they seeing?
Collier County over the 10
you can
years.
check with, I'll be happy for you to reach out to Brevard. So when we were working with them, and that was when I was at Willis Towers Watson at the time, and ran it in the state. They were my client, and actually Sue was all part of this team. We were keeping the increases at 2% or below, and we were helping them, working with the board to make sure that it was properly funded and all the rest of it. When we left almost 5 years ago to join Locked-In, we left because we saw some additional resources and services and the fact that we're privately owned. So we don't have to worry about Wall Street earnings, we don't have to worry about private equity. We can focus on our clients and we can make decisions very rapidly to support our clients. But we were able to keep their costs down, and then the reason that they went to an RP to bring us back is their costs went from the 2% range up to north of 6% a year, and they got out of balance in terms of their reserves. So we're now in the process of implementing programs. We renegotiated their pharmacy contract. We put in some of the programs I described earlier. We're getting ready to put in some additional programs to bring their costs back into the range that they were before, but we're also helping them with our actuarial team make sure that they're properly supported from a financial reserve perspective. Because obviously you have to file, reserve with the state, so that's important to stay in balance. And we would do your 112 filing and all that part of our, and all of our all the services we're talking about are in-house. We don't outsource. All of our actuaries are in-house. All of our financial underwriters, population health, our team of attorneys, and they're all included. There are no additional, the fee that we provided you is what you pay.
All right, any further questions? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice meeting you.
We'll recess until 5 after.
Absolutely.
All right. We are ready if y'all would like to come on up.
I'll go and get the cards over.
I'll pass around for you. Sure. Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, good morning. I can't tell you how good it is to actually see you face to face and to get together finally. We've had acts of God and everything else to get in the way of this meeting, but we're really excited to be here. My name is Bart Gunner. I'm the president of Hub Public Risk, and I'm going to introduce our team. First of all, Scott Milson. Scott is the president of Employee Benefits for Hub of Florida. He's also a member of the National Agents Council for United Healthcare, and so that might be helpful to us maybe in the future. And also, I want to introduce Lisa Vaughn. She's the real boss. She's our senior service manager for area. And Lisa and I are out of our Tallahassee office, and Scott is out of our Winter Park office. And so want to just maximize our 10 minutes and be and honor the time limits that you gave us. So I really want to focus right out of the gate on differentials, what makes us different than the competition, and tell you a little bit about Hub. Hub is the 5th largest insurance broker in the world that you've probably never heard of, but it's a relatively new 24-year-old company that came from Canada and moved to Chicago in 1998, and been growing here in the United States ever since. And so, what does it really matter? Largest, 5th largest, 4th largest? What does that mean to y'all? Because I don't really think bigger always means better, by any means. But really, the key component that I want y'all to remember is that Hub is a privately held company. So the resources and the share prices and everything else that we have, that's all internal. We're not subject to shareholders and profits and things of that. Obviously, we want to make a profit. But what that does is that affects the way we invest in our own specialty practices. So if you look really at the top of this is the major difference maker that we think that we would present to you today are these the breadth of practices. Each one of these practices has a person that leads a team that's part of a regional team, that's part of a national team. So all these things here, and we'll get into more specifics of them throughout the presentation, but an idea might be communications and design. Well, we have a communications and design team, and Lisa will talk to you a little bit more about that. Compliance, the importance of all these services that are inclusive in our fee for Okaloosa County Schools. And so it's, we'll get into the specifics. The HR technology, that's a big deal. We do that a little differently than others. We don't come with a prepackaged employee benefits program so one size fits all and here's what we give you for free. Our approach is different. We're going to sit down with you. We're going to bring in 5, 6. We'll narrow it down to 2 or 3. We'll demo those programs, let you get a feel, because y'all are unique. You have your own needs. You know what you like. You know what you don't like. You know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. And so we want to try to really, as a partner, educate and bring options to you for you to make the decision on what best fits for you. We'll still go through the process with the ancillary carriers to get it paid for. That's easily done. But we don't want to come in with a benefits admin system and say, hey, it's free, and because there's different levels of these systems, and so the reality is we don't want to just kind of give you that neutral mid-level system that's we've already decided this is the one you need to do, the one you need to have, and we don't know you yet. We don't know what your needs are, and so that's a difference in our process. If you move down, we don't really want you. We've given you a lot of paper here in the proposal. We don't want you to just take our word for it, that we're as good as we say we are, that sort of thing. So we've listed a number of panhandle school districts under the Hub Public Risk Focus and Guarantee that we work with, that we'd hope you would give them a call, find out what we're doing, how we're doing, that sort of thing. Got a little bit of information about Hub public entities, but I think I want to focus on the service guarantee. We think this is unique. We're all going to come and we're making pitches. Everybody's making pitches today, but the bottom line is we want to back it up with our references and back it up with our service guarantee. And if you're not 100% satisfied by the end of the first year in the contract, we're going to knock off 25% of our fee for the next year and make sure our stewardship report every year that we're meeting your expectations. So we want to put a little of our skin in the game, because our goal, we've never had to pay that, just so you know, but our service guarantee is something that we think is important and that we want to put out there, in the forefront.
We've never been happy after the first year.
Never have? See? Well, it looks like we're cutting our fee. And that's the way it's going to work. But, the reality is this is a step of faith for y'all. If you decide to make a change or do something else. And so we want to back that up because we feel it's very important that we partner together right out of the gate. Now, there's a lot of departments here, a lot of breadths of practices, and so we're not going to jump into everything all right out of the gate. We're gonna obviously sit down and sit with staff here and decide the priorities, decide what needs to be worked on first. Some things may be able to be done in the first year. Some things may take a couple of years to do, and some things we may get wrong and we have to fix and that sort of thing. As you know, a lot of that's the nature of the beast. But as you see about Hub, we have 450 locations in North America. We're a top 5 broker, 14,000 employees, over 1 million+ clients. And so I'm going to turn it over to Scott and let him take the ball and run with it.
Good go.
Nice to meet y'all. So I wanted to kind of play off a little bit of some of the things that Bart talked about, and what we really believe in the one size does not fit all. And so you're going to find that what we're going to really try to do is get to know you on a more personal level, understand what the drivers are for the school district, understand what your past histories have been, et cetera, and for us to be able to do that and then share that back with you and say, here's what our recommendations would be based on that, instead of walking in and saying, here's our approach. So a couple of different things that I want to highlight off of the placemat is on the bottom right of the first page is persona analysis. That's a proprietary tool that we have created that kind of takes marketing principles. So if you think of marketing in terms of, they create these personas and they market different things to different people based on their needs and desires and wants. We take a similar approach from a benefit standpoint. So we've got, if you think of it, very rich data. When we work with you, we have a census file from you that we know people's names, where they live, how long they've been working with you, what roles they're in, what their compensation is, their ages, et cetera. We take all that information, we create what we call a persona. And we know that what a person that is a new hire is going to have a different desire for benefits than the person that's a late stage hire versus a transitional worker versus somebody that's been with you for 20, 30, 40 years. And so we put all that together so we can work with you to try to figure out what the programs in terms of benefits might be interested to those personas. And so it is a proprietary tool that we've developed, taking all that data and kind of spinning it back, and then we work with you to kind of better understand that. So that's one way that we work on that. On the back side, the second thing that we do is top left is a solutions continuum, what we call our claim funding continuum. Understanding where you are today with United Healthcare, understanding you've had lots of different input over the years to be fully insured, self-funded, level funded, et cetera. Our plan is to work with you to get to understand what those drivers are. There's a trade-off of risk reward of how much risk are you willing to take, how much stability are you looking for in terms of preset premiums, et cetera. And we work with you to try to figure that out. We're not going to walk in here and say, wow, a company of your size or a school district of your size, you need to be self-funded. We're not going to walk in and present that. That might be an outcome, but we're going to work with you to better understand what those are and understand what the past histories have been, et cetera. And so we develop a 3 to 5 year program with you, in conjunction with you, that'll be personalized to what y'all are doing. And the last piece is around technology consulting, which Bart had mentioned as well. We have a full-time technology practice lead. That's all she does. She knows 100 different vendors out there. Again, we're not going to walk in here with a preset playbook and say, okay, here, you need to use this system. We want to better understand what your needs are, what systems are you using internally, how do we need to integrate with those, et cetera, and that'll be the driver for us, is really kind of getting to know y'all and what the needs are and specifically coming back with solutions for that. I'm going to hand it off to Lisa, but I'm going to step to the side because we do have a piece we want to show you on the screen, so don't mind me as she's talking. I'm just going to be over here.
Good morning. Thank you again for the opportunity for allowing us to come over and present. We really do appreciate that. My name is Lisa Vaughn, as Bart said. I will be your day-to-day contact. Whenever anything comes up, a situation, an issue, you don't have to remember all these practices, all these names. You call me. That's who you'll deal with. And I will call all the people that I need to help fix the situation. So I am a born and raised Floridian. I'm born, lived, Tallahassee, still there. Love it. My son went to a public school. I fully support the public school system. And just one of the things that I have focused on, I've been in insurance for 20 years, is service. I obviously, that's my passion. I want to take care of my clients. I want to make sure that their employees are taken care of. And one of the things in that is education. I truly believe that if an employee is educated on what their benefits are, they'll better utilize them and they'll better appreciate them. And I know it's hard to get all that through sometimes in an open enrollment guide or something like that. So, and I give out my cell number. If they have your employees can call me directly. If you allow that. Some employers don't allow that, some employers do. So that is something that we offer as well. We want to make sure that people are taken care of in a timely manner. And as Scott just put up, we have our C&D, Bart mentioned that, communication and design. It is our own award-winning department. They help with the open enrollment guides. They help with the education pieces, flyers, posters, postcards. All of that is open and available to you. And we also have a proprietary app called Benefit Spot. This is an information access only app, but instead of people having to carry around a benefit summary or an enrollment guide, this we can put up, if you see, let's see if it's going to, you see the benefits, they can pull up their medical benefits. They can pull up, They can pull up their dental benefits. At any point in time, if they need to answer a question without having to call HR, without having to call the provider themselves, they can answer their own questions. So we're very proud of this app. It all comes together. Everything is free of charge to you guys. We want you to utilize the services that we have available. One last thing, I know we've run over a little bit. The last bottom right-hand corner of your paper on the back, Net Promoter Score. Net Promoter Score is a matrix that is used in market research that basically goes out and it asks in a survey format, how likely are you to recommend a service, a company to your friends, your colleagues, your family? All major companies utilize this. And the Net Promoter Score goes from a negative 100 to a positive 100. So the 0 is basically average. Some notable scores, UPS 39, FedEx 32, Starbucks 40, United Healthcare is 43. And for most healthcare providers, the health range is 10 to 43. So you guys have the top customer service rated provider. We recently did one for our service for employee benefits for the state of Florida. We surveyed all of our clients, they participated, and we received a score of 83. We're very proud of that score. It's a world-class score. It further emphasizes how much service and taking care of our clients means to us. So hopefully that will give you a little snippet of what we can do, and hopefully we will be working together soon. Thank you.
Any question?
So if we tickled anything or touched on anything that y'all wanted us to dive a little deeper in, we're here for Q&A. So whatever you think we might need to go not quite as rushed on, just let us know.
Like when you worked with the school districts like Leon and Wakula, did you have any specific things that you recommended that were cost-saving measures for them?
Yes, what we found in this business, each district is very unique and very unique to their geography. But when we took over Leon County Schools, and it's about the same size as Okaloosa County, it was all paper driven. We've had that account for I think 12 years, and so it was all paper driven in the enrollment process. We've totally digitized online enrollment with that program. We also, one of the challenges for us is, I don't know if y'all know about Capital Health Plan in Leon County, but we have our own insurance company really in Leon County and the 6 surrounding counties. It's an HMO. It's really driven a lot by state workers and state employees. But the challenge was that it started, CHP, Capital Health Plan, and Florida Blue had a blended rate. And that was good back when it first started because CHP was kind of the baby and Florida Blue was the big brother. But over the years, CHP has surpassed and really almost is a monopoly in Leon County. There's just, for several different reasons, they have their own doctors group and things. So it's really kind of difficult to lead.
Ken Boutwell is a friend of mine.
Oh, really? Oh, Ken. I'm part of Vineyard, so I know Ken very, very well, and Jeff, and actually all the girls went to school and church together. So Ken's one of the founders of Capital Health Plan back 40 years ago, and it's a program that's really, really worked. But the problem was that CHP would come out with their renewal, and they would want to give a 4 or 5% renewal. But the Florida Blue was a smaller group, and yet they wanted to do a 22% renewal. So they would blend the rates and drag up the CHP rate, which CHP covered 92% of the group. And so what we were able to do to save money was to unblend, first time ever that CHP ever did this, but because of the importance of the school district to CHP and because of some of our negotiating, we were able to break up that connection to where the Florida Blue rate was whatever the Florida Blue rate was, but for 90% of the people, the rates went down from 6 or 8% down to 5 and 4. And the last 2 years, CHP's renewal for the Leon County School District was a 0 and then a 2.8. So that's a significant thing when you had, you really had about 8% of the group driving the rate increase, and at some point, affecting a 35% rate that was already there and raising it another 35% on 92% of the group, because of the 8%. So that's one of the areas we've looked at. Because we have that HMO there, breaking out, the pharmaceutical cost and things that you do in the normal process to try to look at savings for a large group like this. That's something that we look at, and we have done with some of our self-insured groups. So there's a number of ways that we look at really the specific nature of Okaloosa County, what you do with United Healthcare, and then we bring our resources, our team together to work on whatever priorities we set together and the plan we put together to move forward. So it's very specific. We work on it, and we work on different pieces because, the technology piece may not be connected to the, to all of you. That may not be your specialty, but it may be one person and then the technology group. So we have our technology team working with them at that time. The wellness piece may be more driven by HR. So we have a wellness captain. So it's not all just going through one person. Lisa is our connector on all of us and coordinator, and she's really the quarterback that gets us in position and help us move forward to where we don't have to suffer a 25% cut after our first year. We've accomplished things and we've reported, and there's a record of that. Sorry, I got a little gabby. We won't let him answer too many questions. That's right. Clock's going. Any other questions?
See, you could have been gabbier.
I know. Well, I got plenty more. Tell them that. That's right.
You will.
We are from Tallahassee.
So one of the issues that we've had in years past is with access to data, the decision-making data and things like that. And I think I did hear, or maybe I didn't, I can't remember, about maybe quarterly, monthly follow-ups. What would be the plan for communicating with the district, providing us, the district, the members of the BOG here, the information that we need as we make recommendations, the access to the data and things like that?
Yeah.
How would that look?
Yeah, so the access to data is going to be driven a lot off of the carrier with whom you partner, as well as the on that claim funding continuum, self-funded versus fully insured. As a fully insured group today, we have access to some of the data. I'll call it, we get kind of 25% of the way. So we would work with UHC, gather their specific reports. We have a data analytics person, our director of analytics. He would take that information, he would spin that through, and then we would set up, whether it be monthly or quarterly, to meet with you that would say, here's how we're trending. Here's what your top claimants are looking like. Maybe there's some diabetes, some increase in diabetes. Maybe there's some programs we need to think about putting in place in the future to try to address those things. So we would meet with you at a frequency that you would help us figure that out. Quarterly is at minimum. We can do monthly as well. As you move along that claim funding continuum, if you become self-funded, that we get that additional 75% of the data. We get a lot more of the information once you become self-funded, if you were to go that route. And then the same type of process we would go through. We'd involve our data analytics director. He would run through, get you the right information. And again, that would be a two-way dialogue. You guys would tell us, that report doesn't mean anything to us. We don't care about that one. But this one, we want more information. Dig into that. And so we'll be very configurable with our approach to that.
And one of the things that is important about the data is that when we receive from the carrier your renewal numbers, whatever that is, we don't just accept that and take it. We run it through our own process with looking at the claims, do all this, and this is on us behind the scenes. But we'll challenge with a carrier. Let's say you got a 4%, and we think it should be flat, or we think it should be 2%, or something like that. We're just not going to take their word for it. We've got former carrier, underwriters on staff in our data and analytics team to make sure their numbers are right, and to, we work for you. We don't work for the carrier. We work with a lot of carriers, but like United Healthcare, Scott's on the National Agents, Council with regard to them. So there's influence in trying to get, I said, size doesn't really matter, but it's really the relationships that matter. And that's what we want to establish with y'all, and then advocate on your behalf to whatever carrier. It could be the dental carrier, but we're going to bring our resources and say, hey, I know you're saying you want a 4%. Well, our numbers show this, and that that causes them to be sharper, for years to come. These guys aren't just taking whatever we're giving them, and feeding it to their client.
And that approach we take, you can use a hammer with a carrier. That's not our preferred approach. Our preferred approach is to use the data to be able to tell a story and say, we believe that this should be a 0 or a -1 versus going and start beating on the carrier. Beating on the carrier will get you a good bit of the way down the road, but you're limited down the line because they remember, they have PTSD, they just have this recollection of you coming and beating on them about that. So our approach would be more data-oriented and working with them and partnering with our carrier partners. But at the end of the day, if a hammer needs to be brought out, we'll bring out the sledgehammer, but we'll try to approach it.
I was going to say, we kind of own some of that same opinion as being the nail periodically. Sometimes we get tired of being the nail as well.
Exactly.
So.
And we start that process too, just so you know, we start that process months in advance. We don't wait until like 60 days ahead of time before your renewal comes out. You can't do anything in 60 days. So we'll start that approach much earlier, working with you, getting alternates if required, different carriers if that's required. Again, all of that being a partnership with you and what you guys are looking for and how we can best meet your needs.
Well, the easiest way to take care of it is utilization. It's not with the hammer at the end.
Exactly.
So on a day-to-day basis, that's what we do.
Well, and I think then that goes back to communicating to your employees, educating them. We ask every question there is in the world about our car being in the shop or why does that belt cost that much, but we go to the doctor's office and we're like, whatever, okay, yes sir, yes ma'am. And it's not, we need to educate our folks and say, hey, ask this, is this test necessary? Because everything goes back to utilization. And that's what's driving that whole healthcare inflation number, up to 11-12%, a year. So that's the challenge. What Lisa was talking about is, 120 days out, we go through with every one of our large clients a process called Critical Path. Scott leads it for our entire state. We talk about the renewal. We talk about what's been the history, what are we looking at as far as the renewal. But it also helps us recognize what might be going on somewhere else in the state. Maybe Florida Blue is doing something here that they haven't done in the Panhandle yet, or that it really connects our 12 offices throughout the state, with one focus on the process and the market and what's happening and where things we meet every other week and we're 120 days out, like Lisa said, so that we're really in top and trying to be as proactive as we can. You can get too far, you don't want to get more than a quarter out, but we start the process just over that quarter so that we're well into the process when you're 90 days out from your renewal.
All right, any other questions? Thank you all so much. We appreciate y'all.
Thank y'all very much.
Appreciate it. We stand in recess till 5 after. 11:35, excuse me. I'll go ahead and call us back to order. Thank you. Y'all
You ready?
Yep, we're ready.
Okay. First, we'd like to thank you for giving us the pleasure and the honor of being in front of you today to talk a little bit more about our proposal and who we are and why we think we're the right partner for the school district as you consider your options moving forward. My name is Anna Maria Studley. I am the Director of Client Development, and I am currently working on finishing my 41st year in the business. So worked a lot of different roles and just super excited to be here. The first thing I want to do is just talk a little bit about us and why we think we are different. We were built specifically to support public sector entities in over 25 years ago, actually over 28 years ago, and that is our only focus. So everything that we do, everybody we hire, every service we propose, and everything that we do internally is specifically developed for you in the government segment. We also recognize that within the government segment, you are very different from each other. especially being a school district. So we know that you have different contract terms for different positions. We know healthcare reform was different for you because of part-time work and different measurement periods. Bus drivers, right? You have a schedule, you hire people at the beginning of the year, and then the kids get on the bus or don't get on the bus, and you're moving things around. So there's a lot of extra things that need to be considered for somebody to proactively sit side by side with you and perform that strategic go forward. We are the #1 independent public sector agency in the state of Florida. We are independent. We don't answer to we don't answer to shareholders. We are empowered by our ownership to make the right decision for our clients on the spot. That includes over 120 clients that we represent just in the benefits arena. And that includes multiple lines of coverage and outside special crafted services. 6.8% client retention rate is what we've enjoyed over the last 8 years. And I think that speaks loudly that we don't just get here, show up, have a honeymoon period, but we stay with you strong as supporters over the term that we work together. Our agency not only has been around for a long time, but our team, we're very proud of this because turnover is disruption in any fashion. Our team on our leadership side is 11.2 years average service. Sean and I this month are proud to celebrate our 14th year anniversary with the Guerin Group. Our staff, because we have grown considerably over the last few years, our staff is averaging 6.7 years of tenure. So when your team is assigned, it's very consistent, and you know who you call today will be there tomorrow. We are laser focused on what's in your best interest. There's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of products, there's a lot of great things, but if it doesn't fit right in your agency, it's not the right fit for you. So we always focus on our OKCs, which are our kind of clients. And then always, we pride ourselves on our transparency, from our fees to our planning to just every single thing that we do day to day with you to know what we have and where we're going. With that, I'm going to talk about our code of conduct. I know you asked about this in the proposal. There is full accountability from our team members and also from our leadership and our owners. In the folder, you'll see our collective keys to success. We live, breathe, and hold each other accountable to these every day. This contributes hugely to who we are and the consistency and the high level of service that we provide. That includes the 4 pillars, the fanaticism, the unfailing commitment. We do not fail. There is no option. Rigorous attention to detail and execution, measuring, remeasuring our performance and the performance of your program, and always thinking out of the box, flexibility and creativity. We're very unique. Not one person on our team is a commission-based salesperson. Everybody works on a flat fee or a flat salary. We don't want anybody in our agency holding any best practices that they could share with other team members that would benefit other clients to the vest. So we only accept open communication and sharing of practices from team member and team to team, so that all of our clients know what everybody else is doing and they're not protecting their book. And our #1 thing that makes us different is our world-class, excellent customer service. We don't want you to just be okay and say, yes, they honored their commitment. We want you to be a raving fan. And because of that, in your folder on the right, as we did in the proposal, I have given you a complete updated list, because it has changed since we submitted our proposal, of every single client we have the pleasure to serve. So that you know, again, transparency, that we with confidence can assure you, you can call anybody on this list and they will be sharing the raving fan. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Sean, who's going to lead the team if we have the pleasure of working with you in the future.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. There's a lot to try and cram into 10 minutes, but more than anything, I wanted to introduce myself first and tell you a little bit predominantly about how we're structured in our team and how we think that's a benefit for the district. On this slide, just a couple things. Because all we do is public sector, our team is extremely versed in some of the requirements specific to public sector as well as school districts. Anna Maria talked about some of those. We actually work with a lot of clients. We're working with Okaloosa County now, even on feasibility of looking at different forms of funding. So a lot of that comes into play, whether or not fully insured is in your best interest. Do you want to look at self-funded or some of those different items? But before we talk about some of those, and maybe we can get some of those in question and answer, this slide is really kind of the meat of what I want to talk about today, which is the service team and how we're structured as a company. As Anna Maria said, we don't have any commissioned salespeople, and I get the question a lot of times, well, why is that? Why does that matter to us as a client? And really this slide is a big part of why it matters, is because we take all those resources that would be being paid out to a commissioned salesperson, and we invest them back in staff to support our clients. So first thing is, everybody on our team has a backup. So if somebody's out at a presentation like we are today, there's always someone you can call. The other thing we do is we split things up into kind of two houses. One is account management, and those are the individuals who work with the employees on a day-to-day basis. They do open enrollment, they do wellness fairs, they do all those items. And then we have an analytical team, and their job is to look at the numbers, the financials, the claims experience every month as it comes in, and help us build our recommendations on different directions you may want to take your program. The other thing that's a little different is we have a team of people that they stay back at the office all the time, and what they're really meant to do is take the burden off of you all when it comes to employee issues. So if somebody's at the doctor and they're having a problem because they say they don't have insurance coverage or some of those things, we have a team that's all they do is support you in that. We also have a graphics team, a whole communication team. We make videos in-house to roll out open enrollment and do all of those items, as well as our wellness coordinators. Very quick, because I see the clock and I know we're burning through the time. We use a very detailed process throughout the year. A big part of that when we start off is really going through your program, understanding where you're at, where you're trying to get to, looking at your claims experience, looking at your renewal history to make sure you're getting the best deal. If you go to an RFP or when you need to go to an RFP, our office can do everything from running that RFP completely to also working with your purchasing in whatever way. We take care of doing all the analysis and coming back and presenting that to you, and we've given you some examples in your proposal. And then we're always here for school board meetings, any board meetings, insurance committee. We're here for every meeting that you need us here for to support that. Talked about that a little bit just on this slide because of the time. We do use a data analytics system called NavMD, so we're looking at your claims data on a monthly basis to see where there's opportunities, if it's directing people to better centers of care, lower, opportunities for lower costs. So we're downloading that data from the carrier every month and actually analyzing that and providing you those reports. The other thing that we just started is we actually built our own benchmarking system called CAVU. So a question we get all the time is, how do our benefits compare to this district or that district? Well, what this system does is everybody, completely free, everybody can go in, enter all of their benefit data, and you can compare yourself to every other school district that's in the system. So instead of having to make a phone call or start a spreadsheet, you can click a couple buttons and compare yourself to other areas where you may compare. You could also compare yourself to someone like the county or surrounding counties, anyone you may compete with employees for. And kind of closing out our 10 minutes here, and I'll take your guidance if you want us to keep going or start with questions. We really pride ourselves on looking at innovative solutions. So we were one of the first and only brokers to actually start with our clients implementing on-site medical clinics. So we currently have 24 entities that have opened up on-site medical clinics where they have a doctor and a nurse practitioner on staff. And what they've been able to do is shift costs out of their medical plan at a better value, a lower cost, and a better medical outcome as a way to reduce their overall expenses. We were one of the first brokers in Florida to actually put in health savings account long time ago down in Broward County. We've also worked with captives as well as some other unique kind of ideas there as a way to save you money. And in that, we have, especially the last couple years, we actually have 2 wellness coordinators on staff. So we've designed with our clients some rather robust wellness programs around reducing the overall cost on your medical program. I talked about responsiveness. What I really want to kind of reemphasize here is our team is here to take this burden off of your staff so you can focus on what's important to you. So we take the calls from employees when they're having issues. We talk to their doctor's offices. If they have an MRI that's not approved, we talk to the companies that do that to find out what's missing. Normally it's missing information. We call the doctor's office. We take that advocacy on in our office so you all don't have to worry about that. And on the far right, as I mentioned, obviously with COVID, everybody had to pivot the last year. I know that's the buzzword, right? Pivot. But we actually switched where now we have full virtual open enrollment capabilities, as well as the abilities to do actual video recordings of both people, and we actually have some graphic animated versions of that we call whiteboard videos in that regard. And kind of last item here just to hit on is we have a whole team that's dedicated to compliance and making sure that you're up to date on the most recent laws. Obviously there's a lot going on with COVID in that regard, so it doesn't necessarily apply just to benefits. But we have a whole system that's available to you, as well as our in-house resources and also external resources if needed. I talked about CAVU, so I'll just kind of close. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. We look forward to any questions you have. What we are set up different than a lot of our competitors. We're forward thinking, we're innovative, and we're here to serve you. That's what we're here to do, is to make your jobs easier, to take a very complex subject of benefits and try and make it simple from a decision-making process all the way down to the employee level. And kind of closing that out, the last thing, as Anna Maria said, is we're focused on long-term relationships. Most of our clients have been with us for the long term, and that's what we want. We want to be here and be able to help you with that long-term strategy of controlling costs, taking care of your employees, and being as competitive as you can with the employee benefits. And with that, one of our mottos at the company is we say, stick your neck out. So we like to stick our neck out for our clients, and we know that you all in the public sector stick your neck out every day, and we thank you for doing that. So with that, I will kind of close out our presentation. I know we went a minute or two over, but open up for questions.
Questions?
Just, I mean, you mentioned innovative solutions. Give some examples of things that you've done.
Yeah, so I think one of the first examples obviously is the on-site clinics. That's been very successful for our clients. We've engaged in the last couple of years. We have some clients that have done some custom pharmacy programs where they're actually buying drugs outside of the medical plan through some preferred pharmacy vendors at a much lower cost. That's another example. We have clients that have built a lot of their wellness programs around their most chronic disease states. So an example is, we know that everywhere we look, diabetes is an increasing concern. The cost of diabetes meds is probably one of the highest on your plan. Without me even seeing your data, I know that it's probably up there. So we built a lot of wellness programs around targeting diabetes, and especially people even that are in the pre-diabetic state, to try and reduce that long-term burden down the road. Those are a couple of ideas of some of the things that we've done.
We've also participated and worked with our clients to develop, you don't go full health center, client-specific networks where you have key individuals in your community that are practitioners. We've done it for mental health. As Sean said, we've done it for pharmacy, and been able to have it as an option, not mandatory, but negotiate bundled pricing where it runs outside as a second layer of network, deriving more efficient results more accountability with that clinician and offsetting the costs similar to what we're doing in the health centers.
So do you do that in the fully insured or in the self-insured? Or
It's predominantly in the self-insured.
Yes.
We've had a few clients do it in kind of a hybrid model, so a minimum premium or a partially self-funded. If you're straight fully insured, obviously you're saving the insurance company money, so you're going to have to upfront that cost and hope that they will give you a better renewal down the road. But a lot of clients obviously aren't looking to take that risk and trust that the insurance company is going to give the dollar for dollar savings on that.
The other thing is when we come on board, we assess your program and come back with just looking at the data and the utilization trends relative to the design of your benefit program to see if there's area of overutilization or where it might be encouraging people to not take the route that you initially want when they seek care. So it also is an assessment of the plan design relative to the actual performance and what we're seeing in your claims.
in the program that you have that compares everybody's insurance, I'd love to sit down with that for an evening.
Well,
That'd be a lot of
it's-
fun.
So
That
so
sound
we
like fun?
actually, yeah, no, it's a
Actually,
gr-
I've spent many evenings with it. It's one of my favorite things. It's data at your fingertips. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Just public sector. Just public sector. It's free, as Sean said. And you go in, and the only thing we ask is that you put your data in. We don't let brokers put it in. We want the entities for the integrity of the data that's maintained to put the data in. And then once you have your data in, you can build what we call the CAV Unity, because the name of the system is CAVU. And so you'll go in there, you'll search for the entity. If it's not there, you can invite whoever you want right into the system via an email invite, and as the invite's out there, it'll show you when they register, and it'll alert you when their data's in. And there's multiple years of data also, and it goes down to even employee-employer contribution splits.
Any further?
No.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Good luck on the rest of your journey. Enjoy your lunch.
Are we in a recess? Are we on a recess?
We will recess until 5 after.
5 after. I have to go to the restroom.
You ready? All right. I'll call us back to order. Thank y'all for being here.
Great, thanks for having us.
Yeah, good.
Are we
You're
ready to
clear
go?
for takeoff.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dennis Barnes. I'm the managing partner at Barnes Insurance. And on behalf of our team, we are certainly pleased to be here today. None of us got anywhere without a great teacher, and I've loved some great teachers in my life, so I really appreciate what you do. And we'll go to our next slide. I've been doing this in the benefits industry for over 35 years. I am the former Florida Blue Okaloosa Schools rep that had this account. Used to work with Jim Palmer. Also put in the Delta Dental plan that you all have right now. Our firm put that in. And with me today, I have
Mark Miranda. I'm a senior consultant. I've been in the employee benefits segment for about 34 years. I've got a unique experience background. I've been about 20 years on the carrier side. I was a vice president of actually United Healthcare for a regional office, and with Aetna for about 11 years, and then I've been on the agency side for about 14 years. My experience has been heavily on the governmental side of it. I have sold cases from 3,000 employees up to 50,000. I represented the Alabama Education Association as well for the 50,000 employees in Alabama.
And I'm Kathy Powers. I'm the account manager, and I've been in this industry for 30 years. Specifically, the last 10, I've worked with groups up to 7,000 lives, and we're hoping that you could be one of ours.
a little bit.
I'm Bill Roberts. I'm managing director with Barnes. I've been with Barnes for 7 years. I've had 40 years in the industry, in the insurance industry. I have an Allstate agency, and I'm a lifelong resident of Okaloosa and Walton Beach.
Great, thanks, Bill. So the next slide is probably why we're here today. We thought we'd have the slide, but I knew that this would be easier for you guys rather than turn around. Why us? If you go to the next slide, you'll see since we've met last time,
we've become part of Alera. That's a national brokerage firm. And they've provided us with a lot of robust tools and strategies to help us provide the administrative capabilities and experience that we need with an account of your size. Backing us up on the corporate team will be Danielle Capella, our Vice President of Compliance, then Lisa Allen, Senior Compliance Consultant. Stacy Barrow is our attorney. I hope we don't speak to him too much. Anil is our Chief Actuary with a lot of experience in the public sector. Jamie Hawkins in technology, and Lee Williams, a data scientist. An example at the bottom of what these resources would mean to Okaloosa schools. Stacy and Danielle developed our award-winning COVID Resource Center, which was recognized by Business Insurance as one of the best employer COVID resource centers available. And that's the team that's backing us up that would also be on your account. So you go to the next slide and you'll see that we are now the 11th largest employee benefit firm in the United States. We have 75,000 clients. 15,000 of those clients are over 500 lives. We have 2,200 employees. And in this bid, and in the sake of time, we won't go through it all because that's in the proposal. We have our administrative services, which are listed here, along with our employee services and communication components, our consulting services, which include funding and funding design with our actuaries and our attorneys, which is a big piece of data analysis that I think that we would want to look at. Your health and productivity and wellness. Compliance is a huge issue right now with our accounts, and that's why we have the tools that we need to make sure that you're compliant with the ACA and all of the other laws that are relating to you as an employer. We also have Alera HR. We'll talk about that in a minute. We really consider that a value add outside of benefits, which has really been great for our employees, to have our employers to have that available to them. So our advantage is, since we've met with you last, we are a national brokerage firm. You have the peace of mind that you have a national firm behind you, but we're still going to provide you with local service with our local team here. You go to the next piece. What about Alera and their focus on the public sector? We participate on a monthly phone call for reviewing the needs of public sector groups. In fact, all of my contemporaries know that I have this meeting today, and they're excited for us to have this opportunity. And every single month, we talk about problems with school boards, problems with counties, problems with COVID, problems with all of the things that happen. And we share those experiences, and we make sure that we're as current as we can be for our clients, so you get the value of that component. The next piece, of course, Barnes Insurance, as an Alera Group company, we have understood the needs of groups in this immediate area. Holmes County Schools is one of our longtime clients. I've had that group for over 15 years. The City of Parker, City of Springfield, Holmes County Board of County Commissioners, City of Crestview, City of Defuniak Springs, and then we have the Liza Jackson School, which is an absolutely beautiful school. We were at that grand opening. It's fantastic. I'd probably live in that library there. The Raider Schools, IHMC, CDAC, Quest, Santa Rosa Housing Authority. Needless to say, we have experience with groups in this area. And then when you start to talk about managing your account, you want someone that understands the school system, understands Mr. Frank's role, understands Mr. Wyndham's role, understands your role, understands the board's role, questions that come up, how do you integrate with that? I've been doing this for over 33 years. I've worked with a lot of school districts, a lot of counties, a lot of municipalities. When I was at Florida Blue, Escambia County was a group of ours, ECUA was a group of mine, Jackson County School District, Calhoun County School District, Bay County, City of Panama City, Gadsden County School District, Santa Rosa County School District, Okaloosa County School District was one of my groups. Jim Palmer, I worked with him for years as the rep with Florida Blue. Walton County School District, and Washington County School District. Those are all groups that I handled from beginning to end, from enrollment to problems to everyday issues that come up on billing to claims issues to all the things that go on an account of your size. So the next piece is a little bit about our strategic process. The first thing that we're going to do is do a detailed plan review of all of your plans. We're going to then evaluate the performance of your plans in each of the plans. Then we're going to dive into the data with the help of our corporate team, which really helps us in data analytics to understand your plan, to peel back that onion, if you will, to really get down at some of those cost drivers that we need to look at. Then we're going to do the data utilization review with some of their assistants. We like to look at that, probably provide a monthly report, but at least with a group of your size, we'd like to look at quarterly meetings to make sure that everybody understands where we are, where we're going. Then we would do a kickoff meeting, a strategy meeting to review your goals, what your multi-year strategy is, RFPs, compliance reviews, strategy implementation, and then, of course, open enrollment, everybody's favorite time of the year with benefits. What tools are we going to bring to bear since we've joined Alair? We've got a lot of tools to bring with us, too many to talk about here in this limited time. We are vendor agnostic. We don't have any carrier that we prefer. We're going to provide you with monthly experience, industry trends. Our attorney puts out newsletters that we would share with you. Our Alair HR will talk about. Pharmacy management's a big piece of your plan right now. We would, of course, do a really deep dive in regards to your pharmacy utilization and what's going on there and possible opportunities for savings, because I think, quite honestly, there may be some. The challenge is in healthcare costs continue to rise, and they are outpacing employee wages. That's the problem, right? Cost drivers are pharmaceuticals, chronic conditions. Employees don't know what they're buying. And I'm sure that this concerns everyone on this committee, but probably especially the union representatives for the people that they are representing, that these costs are going up at a higher rate than their pay's going up. Now we'll get to a more specific piece of it. In number 23 in the addendum that you put out, it said the greatest focus for this next bid period would be the group medical plan. If you look at this slide here in front of you, it shows from 2012 to 2016, you got an average increase from Florida Blue of 6.5%. That's the average, and that's the data for me taking it from the public information that you all share. They provided a wellness benefit somewhere in the neighborhood of $850,000. And then the ProShare piece that they gave back to the school district was $3,152,082. And if you net that out against your average, this school district was averaging a 4% increase with Florida Blue. You made a move to United, understandably. You get a rate hold, a no rate increase in a year that you thought you were getting a rate increase, so you make a move. It's a lot of money when you can get a rate hold, and so you moved, understandably so. It's my understanding from the information I can see online is that their increases since then have been averaging 10 to 12%. So if you look at this data, and I'm not aware, and certainly you can make me aware if there's been any surplus returns from United Healthcare, but I haven't seen any in my information. If you look at this data, what's my number one job? Our team's number one job is to do the best for this school district and their employees. And when you look at this data, it shows that you have an increase of 10 to 12%, almost 3 times annually what you're receiving from your prior carrier. So our number one job, if you appoint us as your consultant, is that we're going to take your account out to market and find out what that number is. Because this information to me, after doing it for 33 years, is very concerning. Am I pro-choice one carrier or another? No. White Wilson, you guys know White Wilson. We insure White Wilson. I think they understand healthcare costs pretty well. They moved to United. They stayed there a couple of years. They moved back. They're with Florida Blue. Not saying that's the answer here. We need to find out if that answer still exists, if that single-digit number is out there for the school district. So we'll move on to a couple other differentiators I mentioned before. We have an HR tool called Alair HR. Principals could have it, vice principals could have it, whoever this committee says could have this tool. What is it? You can get on the phone, you can text, you can call, not with a benefits question, with an HR question. Hey, I've got a problem. I've got an employee telling 30 jokes and I don't know what to do. I'm going to call this HR, get a 10-year PHR certified person. They're going to tell me what to do. There might be a class available. We have over 230 classes. You assign that employee a class. They take the class. That employee passes it. And then you've reduced your litigation expense as an employer. That's the trend right now, is to reduce your HR litigation through training. We identify it through this tool. They track your answers. They track your phone call. They keep all those recordings for you. This comes with our package at no additional cost to the school district. The next piece is our virtual employee wellness fair. It's coming up. 6 pillars of well-being: financial, physical, mental, emotional, social, community, and career. I think right now we can all use a little bit more wellness. We have keynote speakers that are national speakers as part of this. You can log into the event almost anywhere. If you don't have time during your school day, you can go and log in at night and watch the program from earlier in the day. It's just an example of some of the tools that we provide to our groups now that we're with Alera as a national firm. The next piece is our email alert. We've had over 230 of those this year. It's been a busy year in HR. Russ and I were talking about there earlier. COVID. Our resource center is fantastic. I think it's second to none. We have cafeteria plan information. We have all types of legal reviews and employers over 100 lives right now. We had something on that the other day. HR is really a lot busier than it's ever been. It's one of the reasons we moved to a national firm, so we have these kind of resources. And then, Mark, do you want to talk a little bit about the Employer Advisor?
Yeah, just a second. Employer Advisor is a national organization that what they do is they take all the agencies in the country and they score those agencies based on the depth and breadth of the experience of the agency, the service quality, and just about 10 different metrics. And we are excited to be able to be listed in this market as one of the very few that listed as a 5-star, best in class, top consultant in the marketplace. So we're excited to be able, out of the 15,000, to be just one of the few with the 5 stars in this market.
Thanks, Mark. And then I hit the basket, so I was watching the time, and
Well, we kind of started 5 minutes early, so.
There we go. All right. We started 5 minutes early. So, hey, but I took that into account. Hey, if our pharmacy claims are lower, I'll take it. So there's a lot to get out. So, and I appreciate your attention, but this is a really important part. What questions can we answer? This isn't the first time, obviously, our groups ever work with a school system. We really want to make sure we're providing the value.
And our renewal is 0% this year.
Yeah, fantastic. So that's great news, because I was, not understanding where that is. Coming into this meeting, you get concerned. We have a great relationship with United Healthcare, and I'm not saying that we don't. But when you see numbers like that have been posted, you really become concerned that, if we haven't been out in the market, what's going on? And so it's our job to make sure on a routine basis that we provide you all, as the stewards of the school district's plan, to say that we've gone out to market and this is the best thing and this is the best price, right? And so getting a 0 in today's world is, I think that's fantastic. Of course, I'd have to go through the analysis.
Yeah, don't blow it.
And
you just gave us a compliment. So
well, that's it. No, it's great. But
He's about to qualify it.
He worked for United.
I'm just trying to shut it down.
That's it. I'm a numbers guy, so it's all about the formula. I was trained in advanced underwriting, and so I'll go through the formula and do that analysis. But what questions can we answer?
So you've been around for a while. You understand what the BOG
I do.
is about, and so we look at those trends. But one of the things we need is information and recommendations. And so What role do you play there?
Sure. So one of the recommendations that you saw in our proposal, if you went through it, was, one of the Alair groups that had carved out their pharmacy piece and had done that separately, and they had saved a significant cost spend over their group. Is that something that could be considered for this group? Absolutely. Is it something that we would want to look at? More than likely, because your spend's pretty high. I mean, drug costs are unbelievable right now. We have a provider that we work with on our drug spend that we think is second to none. Not only do they price the drug spend separately, if that's a direction that we were to decide to go, and this is the difference between them and other providers, they go back every single month and audit those claims to make sure that you got the price of that drug that they said that you would get. And it's the only provider in the market that does that. And that's why that savings difference was listed as that Alair group. That's just one of the examples of one of the things that we would do. When is the last time the BOG committee or anyone from the BOG committee has visited on site with United? That would be one of the things that I would want to do. I think I still believe that a face with a name that you deal with as an underwriter is something that I would want to engage in, and I would want to make sure that they understand who we are.
Our relationship, I just say this, our relationship since we hired a broker has not been what we wanted it to be, with our direct relationship with our carrier.
Right, and there's more to that, I'm sure, the way that you said that. And I believe the way to get the best numbers from a carrier, I was trained by a carrier. They know that I was trained by a carrier, and when they go into that room and they say, this is our underwriting analysis for Okaloosa School District, they know that Dennis Barnes isn't going to say, oh, well, I'm just sitting here and you're going to tell me what it is. No, I'm going to be engaged with the information that they sent me, and we're going to go through that formula and make sure that the school district was treated the way that they should be in that evaluation. There's 2 or 3 accepted ways to calculate a renewal, and carriers will pick, if they're not forced to on occasions, the one that's most advantageous to them. Imagine that. They know when they deal with me that we're going to work through those numbers diligently, but it's a long-term partnership with a carrier. So not only you can be tough with them, but you can also be fair, and you can be transparent. And if the BOG committee all wanted to go, that'd be fine with me. But certainly, I would think that Russ would be a person that you would possibly entrust with another member to go and visit with them and understand some things about your group that maybe right now haven't been looked at. And those are things that we would do. The pharmacy analysis is obviously a big piece of it. Wellness is a big piece of it with us. COVID right now is a big piece of the additional assistance that we're providing to our accounts on our COVID Resource Center. It's changing every day. The answers are changing every day. The questions are changing every day. You all play probably the most dynamic role as, entrusted with children. So that challenge in itself is something that we take seriously and would as an organization.
Well, we've been looking at the last year, especially at taking some of the risk ourselves. So where could you help us with that?
So that's a great question. We mentioned Anil, our actuary that works with us. If we were selected, he wanted to be here today. I said, Anil, I have 10 minutes. I can't have an actuary. They don't talk real fast. Get up here and blow some of my time. We would engage him in the evaluation along with Lee, our data scientist, to go through all of your utilization and look for trends and pockets of spend that, is this something that is just an unusual curve in our spend costs, or is it something over time that we're seeing that troubles us, that's outside of the metrics for normal groups of your size and your age-sex adjustment? And Anil is someone, as an actuary, who can assist us as someone who's done it for over 25 years with public groups to say, you know, their spend in this area on a per member per month basis, let's look at these trend lines, and we need to try to make some corrective action in the benefit design component that then changes the claims cost component. And that's when you really get more interactive. There's even tools to use for actuaries now that you can do simulations, right? So we could simulate for the BOG committee that if we make this benefit change, this is the outcome in the claim piece, and we can actually track that. So it really becomes more like a knob. So people used to say, well, we're not sure. Well, actuaries are really good at tracking data. And Anil is fantastic at working with groups just like yours. Retirees. Retiree population is always a challenge. Their per member per month cost is generally higher. They need a little softer touch with their communication generally than employees. We understand that as well. The retiree component is something that we'd have to dig into, look at your benefits. You also have the constraint, as you well know, because you've been here, this committee for a while, that there's probably some things you'd like to do you just can't do because the state of Florida won't allow you to do those things. So, you know, we certainly are not going to ever recommend that you breach any Florida statute, but that we explore those possibilities for employees that possibly want a alternative, that would voluntarily select that alternative and remove that claims experience from the school district's plan. And we've had success with that in other accounts. And we have had success with that at Holmes County School District. We have an option for the employees there and a supplemental plan, and they can stay with the plan that all the other employees have at that rate, or they can have a supplemental plan that's much more affordable and is a better plan. In the first year, employees were generally skeptical about it, and we had some of the key employees enroll in it, and the enrollment starts to grow. When you can move that experience off that bottom line, generally it helps, but I couldn't do it unless the retiree wins. That's the way I feel about it. An employee that's worked here their whole career, that's retired here, they deserve the best health care that money can buy, and it certainly needs to be as good as the actives. And if we can give it to a retiree at a better price, but also help the school district, then that's a win. That's the way.
What's your next biggest school district?
Closest to us? So Alera.
Holmes,
Holmes is Barnes. You know, you look at the Panhandle, there's not many school districts your size in the Panhandle. So Holmes is a decent sized school district, but Alera has 300 groups, as I mentioned before, that are in that municipality space, and in our RFP, we put the size of those groups in there. So, you know, you're not just talking about Barnes anymore, you're talking about Alera, because when you talk to these national shops, they're talking about their whole base that they work with, and so we've done that as well. So we've got 75,000 clients, and we are the number 11 benefit broker in the U.S. We're closing in on $1 billion this year as a company by the end of the year. That's our projection. We think we'll be $3 billion within the next 3 years. So we're growing. And so we have those people in the actuarial department, in the underwriting department, in the data science department. They're all helping us behind the scenes with your account. And we're going to dig in, if we're appointed, to find out the answers to your questions. But for me to sit here without all of that information, it's hard to diagnose, you know, the car until you're under the hood. But just rest assured, we have the talent to do it. And in Northwest Florida, I don't believe anyone you'll speak with today has more experience managing a group like this than I do.
Any other questions? I don't mean to monopolize the question time. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. And you guys stay safe, and good luck this year.
Thank you. Can I just close?
Yeah. And
Not that you interrupt your boss or anything, but.
Oh, go ahead.
Again, we just want to thank you for allowing us to present today. In your RFP, you asked us to speak about our qualifications, about how we communicate with our clients. about employee advocacy and a lot of other important topics. But I'd just like to say, as a lifelong resident of Okaloosa County, a product of this school system, that we understand the quality of education and the opportunity that this school system provides to the students. That quality, those opportunities happen because your administration, your teachers, your educational staff, all understand what these students deserve. In this community, we're invested and we're involved. As a board member of the Fort Beach Chamber, we help promote and pass a half-cent surtax. In areas of nonprofits, we serve on the One Hopeful Place Board, the White Wilson Foundation Board. We are invested in this community. And we're just asking you to let us be your advocate for the people who produce one of the finest school systems in the state and the nation. Let us be your advocate for people we see in the grocery stores, at church, at sporting events, and all around the county. We would appreciate the opportunity for Barnes Insurance to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate your time.
Are we gonna go to recess?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
I'd normally shake everybody's hand, but I know right
I
now
know.
we can't do anything. So anyway, thank you so much for your time. You guys stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks.
Or do we now decide what we're doing moving forward?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, at this point, the committee can conduct any discussions that you'd like to regarding any presentations. You're still in an open public forum here. If you're ready to go into your scoring, you certainly can consider recessing the meeting while each individual member works on their score sheets and gets that concluded, and then we would come back into public session to start going through the tabulation of that. It's up to the committee how you want to handle it.
And I know Vince has got part of the scoring committee. What's your pleasure? I mean, it's going to take it. I don't really think we can. Honestly, I don't think we can wrap this up in the next half an hour. So, I mean, we may be able to come close to that. But you?
I guess it depends on the amount of discussion that we have. I mean, I don't. Well, I know my scoring won't take very long once we get what we need from Vince. As
Well,
far
and
as
then we have
that.
a methodology where we each announce each score,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
goes through. So that takes a little while. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be interested in hearing just a little bit of discussion on what everyone's thinking in terms of what you heard today as opposed to what you read, to see if your mind was changed at all. If you've, I mean, I've kind of scored along the way,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, and so I'd just kind of be interested to know what the things are that you guys heard that were interesting. I was listening for a lot of the things that we had discussed previously in terms of shortcomings, as opposed to kind of put your money where your mouth is. Some of the things that I was looking at as they were speaking, I really pay a lot of attention to their current client roster. The references are what they are. Not everybody. Vince, was the packet that you gave us, was that a complete set? So if there was only one for a group, that means only one person referred back?
Well, the one group that had just the one, that's the one I was telling you about earlier. They actually had a second who just responded, but that respondent just didn't fill out the response and said he just started busy.
Gotcha. But that was a
Everybody else
complete
had
packet.
2 or more.
But that was a complete packet that you submitted back to us.
Everything you got.
And so, the nature of references, so did they have the opportunity to select who they wanted to refer for them?
Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
You're getting references from people.
So looking at those with whatever degree of confidence you want to give those, their current client roster, there were some that had, as Patrick was pointing out in some of the conversations, comparable size Florida school districts. There were some that had a lot of municipalities, but not a lot of school district influence. And then the other thing that I was really listening for was who's going to be available to us and how often. And that's where my short trip across the bridge to where you actually located mattered a little bit to me. So the local influence matters a little bit to me. The responsivity, you know, they can say what they want to. Ultimately, the proof will be in the pudding. But those are the things that were important to me. So.
Well, I hear you. So just to keep it succinct, maybe we could go through them just like they did the presentations, and I'll just say FBMC. Does anybody want to state anything, or did they pick up on anything in FBMC that we'd like to discuss? Would that be agreeable to y'all?
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Would you like? No, yeah. Let's go through them all like that, and then we'll come back and finish our evaluations. How about that? So FBMC. Does anybody have anything? I think we discussed them a little bit already. Accenture.
Well, I think with regards to kind of what Dr. Hill was just saying, being local, you know, I know, and not everybody here was on this committee when we did this before, and at the time, you know, we were dealing with some, you know, we had some local people, and we decided to go with a bigger company, someone who could offer a little bit more. And I don't think that has turned out as well as we liked it to be. So I think they're having multiple offices in this county. The access to them and what they, you know, could provide is going to be important, especially if we opt to look at moving to a self-funded or partially self-funded option. Having someone that is physically here in this county that we can reach out to, that we can, you know, that can come to Russ, that Russ can go to them, I think that's going to be beneficial to me.
I think to your point, if I might, the local influence, I was trying to decide how important the understanding of the local medical network was to the brokerage services, and I think it's important, but I think it's super important if we move down the road towards what you're talking about. I think it's enough said there.
I feel like for Accenture, I feel like that they seem to have been the most prepared as looking at what our numbers were and really applying it to us, which is something that when we were trying to talk about that self plan, we couldn't get from our previous broker. Like that just wasn't there. And so for them to put that work in, even just to come here, that to me that says a lot about, I feel like, the responsiveness that we would get from them. That gives me a little bit more hope of responsiveness.
I know I thought more of them from the presentation than what I read.
Right.
They went up in my estimation. I was noticing, like with Florida, it was all just seemed to be just a lot of small things like cities, that kind of thing. Not really any school district experience, except for the gentleman that they've just brought on recently. So at least he has that experience. But it's funny because they have all these large clients that they showed. I mean, those were some major names. But then in Florida, unless they were maybe just showing the public sector in Florida versus the private. Yeah.
That's probably what
That's probably might be it. So that.
It did appear to me that they were very prepared to discuss specifics that may not have been in their proposal, and the familiarity moving forward. Just given across all of the presentations, there seems to be a very common thread of for potential cost savings, looking at
drugs,
you know, prescription drugs, and then the, you know, self-insured versus fully insured models or partially insured models. So given that, I feel like their presentation addressed how they would work with us to make those decisions, given their knowledge of our local you know, community doctors, networks, insurance, all of those things. And again, if we look at moving in any changes in what we have, I feel like that's going to be important.
And I'll say this, they seem to, and I don't really know how they did, but they had done their homework about the relationship that the BOG plays in the recommendations. I think they acknowledged that, and they acknowledged that we would make that decision ultimately to the district, and I think that some of their experience lended to the fact that they understand, the union relationship with the district, and I think that's important here. But I was very intrigued with some of the examples they gave in their packet. I felt like just from looking at the raw data, they could see some areas, and that we've acknowledged over the last few years that we could improve in. We just haven't been able to get it off the ground. So I think I will say, and I don't want to get off the subject of this, but some of the other ones just came in here and gave us the same presentation that they give anybody else. It wasn't catered to us or our needs, and that was kind of disappointing to me. But this Centria did. Anything further on them? Russ, if y'all have any input, we're certainly willing to listen to it. So, Lockton. Anything?
Well, the main thing my main note with regard to them is I'd be interested in hearing some of their takes with regard to our open enrollment criticisms that they had. I thought that was an interesting presentation technique, but,
Russ, do you know anything about, do we have to talk about our COBRA relationship in that open enrollment document?
As far as I know, I noticed, my ears definitely perked up when you referenced the
compliance
issues. We vetted that. Instead of the source, we did spend a good deal of time with our previous broker going through those issues and addressing them as far as what we put out as publication are concerned. ACA changed a lot of that, but then whenever, as you proceeded to the presentation, the only thing that was mentioned was the HRA offer through COBRA.
Right.
And I don't know that we have, that we were out of compliance on that. I don't believe we are. I definitely will be asking that question, but it's not anything that we've ever addressed, nothing that's come up before, and we've been with Lockton and Williams and Kenny Anderson since before I've been involved in the risk management department. So,
and we do offer that to anybody that takes our health care.
Well, it was, I think that his concern
Specifically was on the COBRA.
If somebody separates and they get an offer of COBRA, as we're required to do within a certain time frame, Web Benefits Design is the COBRA administrator at this point, that they also receive that offer of COBRA for HRA. And that was not my understanding at all. And that is an area that I will definitely address, but that's the only thing that was brought up when he specifically started addressing this overarching comment about compliance issues. If we got to that, that's pretty low on the priority list.
Yeah, with so many other glaring issues. I didn't like that too much, but did I say that in the mic?
Nope.
Anything else on them? No. Gearing?
You skipped Hub.
Who?
Hub.
Oh, I just got them out of order. I'm sorry. Hub. Moving on Hub.
I'm going to end up having them scored fairly highly as well. In the grand scheme of things, I think that I didn't coming out of the initial submissions. I think their presentation was a little better than I anticipated. I think that the 25% off if you're not satisfied is intriguing. However, their closest office is Tallahassee. Our account manager will be Tallahassee. They're used to dealing with Leon. Leon's a different county than Okaloosa is, as we've been finding out very, very much lately. But I am interested, just whomever we select down the road. I think, I picked some nitpicks from each thing. The on-site tech thing, is an interesting concept.
I will say this, that I do know a little bit about Capitol Health. I don't know if anybody else knows a little bit about Capitol Health. But it's very different from what we have. Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, just, I mean, you're looking at essentially a narrow network design. I mean, it's obviously you're talking about a population of employees that are going to be confined to a given area, and you've got the facilities, the medical facilities there to be able to deliver, the provider to be able to deliver it.
Well, there are about 9 counties now.
Yeah, you do get outside that area, sure.
So that's a very different market. I mean, it's really not comparable to ours at all.
Right.
Anything else on Hub? All right. Gary? And then the last one, Barnes. I really want to like Barnes.
Yeah, I remember hearing from them at the last go-round as well. They were a little underwhelming, I think, if I remember correctly at that time. But, again, the local, knowledge of our, communities, the local access, I think is beneficial. However, you're also looking at a group of people looking at 30 to 40 years experience in this, which is great. But then I question too, how long are those people going to be there? Are we going to be facing a turnaround when you've got the majority of the people working that will be our representatives have been doing this for 30 years or longer? How long are they going to be around to really to be there? Are we going to have the turnover issue like we have had with our previous brokerage manager? Not to say someone else coming in wouldn't do as good of a job, but it's kind of easy to, I think, get kind of excited about the amount of experience, the relationships that they've had previously with Okaloosa County in different roles. However, how long, until they maybe choosing to retire
Well, they
themselves.
didn't utilize that experience, though, in their presentation.
Right. They mentioned it, but didn't really play off of what that could provide.
Did it not bother you that because he came in here and took old data from Blue Cross Blue Shield and then said, basically, he should have just come out and said, y'all were wrong to go with United Health because you had all these increases, so we all need to run back to,
I feel like that's what his push was.
Well, I corrected him and then cut him off, so.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
And then he
previously,
backtracked.
those of us that have been around a little longer, even though they state that they don't have a preference for provider, I think we know that they do.
Even if you haven't been around, you could
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah, so,
Well,
and you're talking about a relationship that some of the other people said, we have this relationship with all of them.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And they,
So the one thing that I have to continue to remind myself is that we're not evaluating the carriers, though we're evaluating the brokers.
Mhm.
And so everything in my evaluation is going to center first and foremost on what I spoke about earlier, which is responsiveness and aggressiveness representing us in the market. And so I think that the key is the carriers will be up to us, right?
Absolutely.
And so what we need is somebody that knows the market locally and is aggressive enough to represent us in the market locally so that we can then have the appropriate expectations among the carriers. So those are the influencing factors for me, and I didn't, that's what's going to drive all my scoring, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got some affection for Blue Cross Blue Shield too, but that's not what we're debating today.
Right.
I mean, we had a good relationship with them for many years, but
That was my very first RFP. I was new. I was like, what is happening here? What are we doing? I was like, this is not. As a matter of fact, I had gotten an email from Greg that said, we have the BOG meeting. And I sent an email back and I'm like, I'm sorry, but what is a BOG meeting?
Do I need to bring my waiters?
I had no idea, so yes, I understand.
All right, does anybody need to revise their,
I like to be able to look over
I may
mine
need a
for a few
minute.
minutes.
And would you like Mr. Wyndham to go through the numbers with you?
Yes,
needs to
please.
go through.
Be sure everybody's got the same scoring on the chart
Number
for Mr.
3.
Wyndham.
Yes.
Okay, so what we're talking about is going to be category number 3, cost fees, annual brokerage fee. Each one of you have a pricing evaluation worksheet, so you can get these scores off of this sheet, but I want to go ahead and announce them for the record. So what this is based on, the pricing you see on that worksheet is the three-year total for the fee for each company. So the top point value you can get is 25 points, so that will be the lowest cost submitted. That's Hub Public Risk was the lowest submitted. They'll receive 25 points on your score sheet. Gearing Group.
25.
You what?
It's on this paper.
Oh, yeah.
And that's in
Oh,
category
I
3,
see.
right?
Okay.
Right. We're talking about scoring category 3 on your evaluation form. So Hub Public Risk will receive 25 points. Gearing Group receive 24.8 points. Accentria will receive 21.9 points. Barnes Insurance Financial Services will receive 21.5 points. FBMC will receive 19.5 points. Lockton Companies will receive 18.5 points. Okay, any questions on that piece?
Vince, you always get very technical. Thank you for that. 21.5. I don't think any of us got that technical on our
I'm
scoring,
like,
but.
do I need to put up points?
Well, basically-
That's what I was thinking
Oh,
too.
Basically,
We understand.
It's a formula.
Yeah, it's a formula.
I didn't.
You're the man right there.
It's good stuff.
Do you, and of course, I started this thing all in pen, so I'm all messed up. I've got all kinds of lines through. You have more
Yes.
forms?
She'll
I know at
she'll
one
believe
point you
me
said
next
you had
time when I
I've
say.
got clean forms.
Or I
I
can
mean,
just
they want you-
initial, do I just initial my
Yeah,
changes?
because we're
Yeah,
gonna
you wanna
wanna
keep your
collect
notes.
from you your notes and
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
so.
See, Julie, that's why I said take a pencil.
I know, but I had done it however
No
many
one
weeks
told
ago
her
in
when we
pen.
first got the box.
I did way back.
If you want a
Just
clean
tell
one
her
to
when
work with,
she
I can give it
gets
to
the
you, just
box.
keep the
She'll
others
know
with
for
it,
next time,
right?
right?
If you want a clean form, we can get you one, but we're gonna still ask you to hold on to those.
Yeah.
Right, keep them.
Just scribble it out and write it
Notes.
again.
My little line initial.
All right, we'll take a few minutes.
Okay, so Jeff, I think we'll need them to approve a motion, right, to proceed with final scoring?
Yeah, at this point, if you're ready to go forward, we need a motion that you're gonna head into final scoring.
I'll move it.
Oh, go ahead. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please indicate by aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion passes
Okay,
unanimous.
and then you can just go out of the meeting.
If you're gonna recess then while you
Score.
Yeah, we'll
each do that.
recess while we score for 10 minutes or something. Okay.
We always appreciate the guidance.
10 minutes. recess.
So we're recessing?
Yes.
Okay.
Jeff, you said y'all were gonna collect these notes that I took earlier
Yeah,
for my
Vince will
notebook.
just collect your
Matter of fact, we'll
notebooks,
collect everything from
everything you've got.
I feel like
It's
I'm
my
taking
favorite
a
part
state
when I can
test.
give you back the box.
I feel like I'm taking a state test. Now we're gonna collect everything back.
I'm gonna have to go
Good,
back
we don't
and
have
Pressure.
to, doesn't have to be
get
around.
all that.
it
What about
like-
these notebooks that they submitted?
Typically, Vince just takes a box from everybody, who's got the notebooks and everything in it.
No,
But
good.
if
So
you
I can
need
just,
one, I mean, if
Oh,
you
you
need one, you can.
everything in it, got it, perfect.
Whoever you end up with, you
Love
may
it.
want a copy. I'll take them back and give them back to you.
I just was wasn't creating a separation between the things I wrote today and the things I wrote previously, so I'm just gonna put it all in one box.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
This is mine, so I'm gonna keep
I'm ready whenever y'all are. I don't know how long you
Huh?
were. 10 minutes? We recess for 10 minutes. I'm ready whenever y'all are.
Yeah, we're running behind, so.
We're signing.
We're signing everything.
So you're gonna call out your raw scores or call out your 1, 2, 3s?
Oh, we're gonna get you to call it all out.
Call what?
I'll call, personally, your raw scores.
He's gonna
and
tell
your
you
1, 2,
exactly what he
3s.
wants you to say.
Okay.
In what order.
I like it.
We'll both do it.
And Vince will be backing me
Our
up.
numbers, I'm sure.
Yeah, because
And then Julie, if you would, Rita always backed us up with a calculator as we were adding together. She would confirm that we had added correctly, okay?
So when say it again.
So if you don't mind, once we're starting to add up, if you'll just follow us on your calculator just to be sure we get the numbers right.
Okay.
That's when you were showing your shorter name, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my last name, your first name aren't bad, but my first name and your last name.
Yes.
all right, when you're ready, pencils down.
Patrick, you can't do that. Don't.
You're stressing us out.
When you,
I'm the
yeah, I've never heard
product
anybody
of
say when
state
you're ready,
testing.
though.
Don't do
It's-
that.
It's time's up, pencils down.
You have 10 minutes left to complete yours.
No.
That's revenge for anybody that you gave time test to.
I thought
Which
we
is all of
said
them.
I had to.
Yeah.
That's right. Order. Okay, committee members, let me just go over the process now. I'd first ask that you be sure that for each of the proposers that you have completed the scoring, that you've totaled your scores, and that you've also then assigned a ranking point based upon all of your scores, okay? Now, the ranking points are assigned as follows. The proposer that you gave the highest points to, you'll assign 3 ranking points to that proposer.
They get 3.
The one that you gave the next highest score to will get 2 ranking points. And then the third that you gave the next highest score to will get 1 ranking point. If you have any of those proposers tied at any of those levels in your scoring, the persons that are tied get the same number of ranking points at that level. And then what I'm going to do is we'll start and ask each of you individually to call out publicly each of your points, your total points, and then your ranking point for each proposer. Okay?
Question?
Yes, sir.
Did you say that the third highest would get 1
The third highest gets 1 ranking point.
and everybody else would get none?
That's correct. You're only assigning ranking points to the top 3 scored vendors that you have, unless there's a tie in there. Correct, Mr. Wyndham?
And you'll check us in case we miss it.
And as you call them out, we'll be double checking the math and the ranking points. So if you're ready, is everybody ready to begin? We'll start with Dr. Hale. We'll start with FBMC, number 1, experience and qualifications.
10,
Scope of services,
10,
cost fees,
19.5,
references.
5,
What was your total?
44.5,
And your ranking points assigned to that firm?
none.
Okay. For Essentra, Dr. Hale, experience and qualifications,
25,
scope of service,
30,
cost fees,
21.9,
references,
5,
and your total?
81.9,
For Lockton Company, experience and
Did you want me to give my?
Well, I'm going to
ranking?
wait till we finish all the totals, and then that way we'll double-check your ranking point, okay?
Okay.
You can tell me now, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, no, you asked
He
on the last
changed.
one.
He
Gotcha.
changed
That's
mid-
okay.
Yeah, I did.
That's
I
okay.
changed on
That's
you.
okay.
Lockton and Company, experience and qualifications,
15,
scope of service,
10,
cost fees,
18.5,
references,
1,
total,
44.5,
Hub Public Risk, experience and qualifications,
22,
scope of services,
25,
cost fees,
25,
references,
3,
total,
75,
the Gearing Group, experience and qualifications,
20,
scope of services,
20,
cost and fees,
24.8,
references,
5,
and your total,
69.8,
Barnes Financial, Insurance and Financial Services, experience and qualifications,
22,
scope of service,
28,
cost and fees,
21.5,
references,
3,
and your total.
74.5.
Okay, now for the ranking points, how did you assign those?
Accentria 3, Hub 2,
Okay,
Barnes 1.
all right. Mr. Wyndham, if you'll double check the math on that as we move to the next one. Okay, Ms. Perry, you're next. FBMC benefits, number 1, experience and qualifications,
10,
scope of service,
15,
references,
19, no, references.
I'm sorry, cost and fees,
19.5,
references,
I have 2,
your total.
46.5,
Accenture Public Risk, experience and qualifications,
30,
scope of service,
40,
cost and fees,
21.9,
references,
5,
your total,
96.9,
96.9. Lockton Company, experience and qualifications,
25,
scope of service,
30,
cost and fees,
18.5,
references,
5,
total,
78.5,
Hub Public Risk, experience and qualifications,
say what?
Hub Public Risk,
Hub.
Hub, Hub,
Julie was asleep during that presentation.
Okay.
15.
experience and qualifications, 15,
Yes.
okay.
20,
Scope of service,
20,
20,
mm-hmm,
cost and fees,
25,
references,
4,
your total.
64,
The Gearing Group, experience and qualifications,
25,
scope of service,
35,
cost and fees,
24.8,
references,
5,
and your total,
89.8,
89.8. Barnes Insurance and Financial Services, experience and qualifications,
20,
scope of service, was that, did you say 20?
20.
Scope
You might
of
wanna
service?
Pull the mic over there. That's good to hear you.
I guess think this one's mine, 30. Forgot about mine.
Cost and fees,
21.5,
references,
2,
your total,
73.5,
okay, and how did you sign your ranking points then?
Accentria was 3 points. I I had Gehring at 2 and Lockton at 1.
Okay. Ms. Appleberg, we'll move to you next. FBMC experience and qualifications,
15,
scope of service,
20,
cost and fees,
19.5,
references,
2,
your total,
56.5,
the Central Public Risk experience and qualifications,
25,
scope of service,
36,
cost and fees,
21.9,
references,
4,
total,
86.9,
Lockton Company experience and qualifications,
19,
scope of service,
29,
cost and fees,
18.5,
references,
2,
total,
68.5,
Hub Public Risk experience and qualifications,
18,
scope of service,
31,
cost and fees,
25,
references,
2,
total,
76,
the Gehring Group experience and qualifications,
24,
scope of service,
31,
cost and fees,
24.8,
references,
4,
total,
83.8,
Barnes Insurance and Financial experience and qualifications,
13,
scope of service,
25,
cost and fees,
21.5,
references,
3,
total.
62.5.
Okay, and how did you assign your ranking points then?
Accentria got 3,
Okay,
Gehring's 2, and Hub is 1.
all right. Mr. Strong, FBMC benefits experience and qualifications,
20,
scope of service,
20,
cost fees,
19.5,
references,
5,
and your total.
64.5,
Central Public Risk experience and qualifications,
29,
scope of service,
39,
cost fees,
21.9,
references,
5,
total,
94.9,
Lockton Company experience and qualifications,
25,
scope of service,
30,
cost fees,
18.5,
references,
5,
total,
78.5,
Hub Public Risk experience and qualifications,
24,
scope of service,
29,
cost and fees,
25,
references,
5,
and your total.
83,
The Gehring Group experience and qualifications,
24,
scope of service,
29,
cost fees,
24.8,
references,
5,
and your total.
82.8,
Barnes Financial Insurance experience and qualifications,
28,
scope of service,
38,
cost fees,
21.5,
references,
5,
your total.
92.5,
And how did you assign your ranking points?
Hub is 1, Barnes 2, and Accenture is 3.
Okay, Ms. Cox, FBMC benefits experience and qualifications,
15,
15, scope of service,
20,
cost and fees,
19.5,
references,
4,
total,
58.5,
Central Public Risk Experience and Qualifications.
25,
Scope of Service,
35,
Cost and Fees,
21.9,
References,
3,
Total.
84.9,
Lockton Company Experience and Qualifications,
19,
Scope of Service,
23,
Cost and Fees,
18.5,
References,
2,
Total.
62.5,
Hub Public Risk Experience and Qualifications,
21,
Scope of Service,
30,
Cost and Fees,
25,
References,
3,
Total.
79,
The Gearing Group Experience and Qualifications,
19,
Scope of Service,
25,
Cost and Fees,
24.8,
References,
4,
and Total.
72.8,
Barnes Insurance and Financial Experience and Qualifications,
20,
Scope of Service,
30,
Cost and Fees,
21.5,
References,
3,
Total.
74.5.
And how did you assign your ranking points?
Accentria 3, Hub Public Risk 2, Barnes 1.
Okay, now we will take the ranking points and move them into this chart on the bottom of the page here. So for Dr. Hale, the ranking points that will move down will be Accentria will get 3, Hub gets 2, Barnes gets 1. For Miss Perry, Accentria gets 3, Lockton gets 1, Gearing Group gets 2. For Miss Appleberg, Accentria gets 3, Hub gets 1, Gearing Group gets 2. For Mr. Strong, Accentria gets 3, Hub gets 1, Barnes gets 2. For Ms. Cox, Accentria gets 3, Hub gets 2, Barnes gets 1. So then total, 3, 6. So Mr. Wyndham, I get 15 points for Accentria, is that correct?
Zero overall interest, number
1 point for Lockton, 6 points for Hub, 4 points for Gearing, and 4 points for Barnes. So overall then, Accentria would be ranked first, Hub second, and I think under the committee's rules, there's a tie between Gearing and Barnes at number 3, so the committee would.
Well, they're 3, so I mean, they're not gonna be the one you're gonna negotiate with, but they could, break, we're gonna break the tie. We usually break the tie if it's a number 1
Yeah.
tie.
So committee, we can either just leave them both at number 3, or you can, by vote, break the tie and decide who number 3 is. I mean, that's not who we would recommend first to the school board, but it's up to you how you want to handle that.
Yeah, I think the vote is so scattered at that point, I think let's leave it like it is, and we'll
Okay.
come back together if we need to.
Yeah, what are the circumstances where it would matter?
Well, the only way. it
1
would
and
come
2,
into play
we couldn't
is if, say,
negotiate.
you went to the board, well, we're going to the board with your number 1. All right, the negotiations doesn't work out, well, we got to go back to the board and say we're going to go to number 2. Well, if it didn't work out a second time, then you would be at number 3.
And at
We
that
gotta go
point,
through that
we'd
process
be
with
so
each
deep,
one.
we'd be convening again at some other point anyway.
So at this point, then.
We might decide to start over at that point.
Yeah, the way this works out, committee, all your total rankings and now the ranking points, Accentria would be ranked first for recommendation to the board, then Hub City was ranked second, and Gehring and Barnes were tied at third. And so what we would need now is a motion from the committee to accept those rankings and make the recommendation of Accenture to the board.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the, motion, please indicate by aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Passes.
Is Angelique the one that made the motion?
Yes.
All right, so Jeff, now, as far as going, we just got to go back and run the check. Make sure they're all right. I'm talking about
I checked them as they
the
called
check of it,
them.
they're doing, everything's good with you. So I was writing them down just like he is, so I had to go back and check.
Yeah, you'd asked me to, yeah, I was checking them.
Any further business of the committee here?
Oh, sir, what we're going to do is ask you just to hang on long enough so you each can sign the final tabulation sheet, and that'll become the final record of the meeting and what will be presented to the board. So if you give us just a minute, we'll,
No
I'll
further,
put mine.
no, if no further
We have to
business.
stay in session until we make those signatures.
Jeff, do we stay in session until that time?
I'd like you to just give us just a minute to do
I
that.
misunderstood, I'm sorry.
That way it's public notice.
Macy's got a question. He needs to ask.
Well, we want it on
clarification.
record that every
Jordan's
member
not
signed
hungry.
as well during the.
I'm just putting my
I don't
thoughts
want her to get
together.
hangry.
She had pretzels.
I'm about to get hangry.
I was trying to make it back in time for car duty, but that's not
Russ
gonna
owes us all
happen.
lunch.
No, it really was, because we got people out.
I really appreciate that we just went straight through and like, so I can take her out.
Yeah.
The microphone bit, thank you also.
But there's always people out, Dr. Hale.
I know.
Well, our COVID sub is out this week. And then,
That's irony.
I know, well, she was out with COVID, but now she's out because before we would have COVID subs, she works for the fire department. So she'd already scheduled to work. So she couldn't be the sub this week because she said, you know, I'll do it. I already have this 1 week that I had to work. So she's out. And then somebody else is out. 2 of the 4 of us that are on the radios at duty are out.
When I first took this job 3 years ago, Chambers was hammering me weekly on our bill rate. It was like 86, 87, 89.
And now it's like-
He was like, we go to begin. It's like, I'm trying. Now it's like 68. Yay!
I know, I laugh, I'm like, become president, she says.
Yeah.
It'll be
Okay, I'll
great.
just pass
she
this
says.
tabulation sheet around.
Easy.
And if it's good, please sign the date, today's date.
And then there's a pandemic.
My son, I think he got his application done, so.
I think he was supposed to do newcomers today, maybe, or tomorrow?
Oh, I don't know if he knew that.
No, Courtney's supposed to do it.
Oh, okay.
So, our new COVID protocol, talk about still putting multiple classes of kids.
And if you have your score sheets, if you could please pass those around, we'll collect those, and then everything else you can just leave in your box, and purchasing will take all of that for you.
Well, I started to sign Jordan's.
What's on hers, Patrick?
You're not me.
So do I have everybody's score sheets for each vendor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Wyndham, I'm going to give those to you.
I gotta get it signed.
I think on my score sheet, I might have left off a 1
Vince, you don't mind if we
14
keep the
at
top
8.
one, right? Since you don't mind if we keep the top one, right?
No, that's fine. But just copy, I've got the original.
And we voted on the ranking.
We did that.
And you
We
did
did
that?
that.
Yes, sir.
And approved the rank order on this report?
Now I'm gonna move that we adjourn, right?
That's correct.
So I just did it.
I'll
Second.
second.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Thank you.
Stand adjourned. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
the-
Thanks,
Patrick.
Patrick, for doing that.
Dr. What about the, I mean, are we